So stupid.
Oh, Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Hello, beautiful people. Do you guys know what today is?
Newsmax.
It is a Newsmax day. You're right. What was the tip off? Just kidding. Hi. How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing? Let's see what we got. Who's new? Who is new today? Anybody? Please tell me that you are new. I want to shout you out and say welcome.
Wow.
A watch party.
I'm new.
A watch party on November 5th. Well, we're going to be doing live coverage of the election. We're going to do all sorts of stuff. We're going to have a great show for you on election day. And then we're going to probably, we'll get 2 hours of sleep? Something like that. It's how we're dedicated for you people.
If I had a couch here, I wouldn't even go home.
I don't know. Is there one in the...
I don't know. There's one in the
like waiting room area.
Yeah. Because by the time you go home, you turn around and you're right back.
Yeah, I got to hose that crap off.
Yeah.
Though. I got to wash it off. I got to do that. That's one of the things. Yes.
Take a sink shower.
Oh, well, Jenny, thank you so very much for that. That's very kind. Thank you. She said I look extra pretty. Thank you. Very kind. I'm sorry, they're not saying...
I'm not going to be able to get her head through the door.
They're not saying anything about Brock right now. But doesn't he look slender?
Wow.
Doesn't he look nice and slim? I'm going to say I
got an IV yesterday. So
how do you feel?
I feel great.
Why don't we just talk about it?
Okay.
Let's just talk about it because as you guys are all joining, we do get to have a bunch of people later on in the show as well.
Darius, knock it off.
But I loved watching Brock lose 60 pounds. He lost like a fourth of himself, right? Or even a little bit more than that.
I was at 282.
Wow. You were that close to 300 pounds.
Yeah. I need to get with Mary Beth.
And you're now down to
220. I got on the scale this morning. It was 227.1.
That's amazing. And so you have how much more to go?
I don't know. I could still lose. I could go down to 210, 205.
Look, it's not rocket science, but it is science. And there are things that we can do to help us quickly lose weight. And Dr. Dubiak and the team at bodybyaim360.com.
They teach you.
They give you the tools. Like some people like going to meetings. They like the support. They like the points.
You can get the
You can have all
the coaching.
Of that. Yes, you can have all of that. Look, all you need to do is call 412-227-9255.
I didn't need to. I did the coaching, and she was great.
Yeah. But then you get to a point where you're like, I know what I need to do now.
Well, for most people, they're not on camera with thousands of people watching and going, oh, you're doing this? Let's see if you lose weight. So you guys held me accountable. Because if I didn't lose weight, it's full transparency. They're still a client. So
that doesn't bode well for us.
No, if Brock doesn't lose weight, it doesn't look good. A
little bit of pressure on that one.
But you guys held me accountable, and I think that's the thing of being held accountable is one of the first and foremost being ready.
Yeah,
and then second is being held accountable. Yourself.
Look, today you might be ready. It might be next Thursday. It might be in a month or in 5. But by calling 412-227-9255 or bookmarking that somewhere, you're ready to go. They're ready to go when you are.
Weight does not affect epilepsy that I know of. I mean, I've had epilepsy since I was 12 is when I was diagnosed. So I don't know how much that is. I went in, they were going to do brain surgery and they found out there wasn't one. So no, that I wasn't eligible for it, but I don't believe that has anything to do with it, but I do feel a lot better. After dropping the 60 pounds, things don't hurt. I found out what to eat, what not to eat.
Plus, you have your first baseball game tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to you'll be able to talk on
I'm going to
Monday
live stream one of them.
about how you feel, because it's the aches and the pains, the joints, the stiffness, the mobility, the flexibility. So anyway, bodybyAIM360.com. It works. So it's not complicated.
All right, here we go.
His hair is so weird.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Well, hello, America, and beyond the fruited plain, welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program. We say it every single day. I say the same daggone thing every single day out of the gates because it is succinct, it is honest, and it's what we're all about. Common sense, conservative values. We say the stuff you've been feeling. We say the things that you might still feel you can't say, but you can. Because the Great Awakening is on. The unraveling of suck is on. The race for November is on. And we have such a great show for you today. We're going to have fun. All right. We've got 21 different audio sound bites for you. Brock has been busy. I think he's got carpal tunnel. He's going to complain about it all day. So we might as well have fun with it. Right. Come on now. You know that's true. You've already been bitching about it.
Wow. Is all I'm going to say is wow.
Well, see, everybody now knows I'm telling the truth. All right. If you're new, make sure you get the app, Wendy Bell Radio Network. Follow along on the live video stream. Our podcast, 2.5 million people have downloaded it onto their phones. Join us. It just makes sense. Welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Sometimes when I say that pledge with you, I get worried I'm going to forget the words, not because I don't remember the words, but because each of the words takes me somewhere and makes me think of something that's going on in our country right now. And as we were assembling all of the different components of our 3 hours of broadcasting today, it kind of came into focus that we're living in, I've called it this simulation before. And there have been a lot of people, a lot of science, a lot of people out there talking about it feels like we're in this weird alternate universe. Surely this couldn't all be going on. Life couldn't be this bizarre. We couldn't have gone backwards so severely in such a short period of time. Well, yeah, you can. And yeah, we have. And I'm going to modify that hypothesis a little bit. And I'm going to call it the Democrat Dreamscape. And I'm going to explain to you why in the next, 3 hours. I'm going to start with this. One of the greatest things about growing up in my family, my parents were drivers. They liked driving on vacation. We didn't have a lot of money. And so we would drive everywhere. We would drive to Redwood National Forest. We've driven to Tijuana, Mexico, San Diego, Napa Valley, Ojai, Carmel, Monterey, all over the beautiful state of California. And it is exquisite. And before we would go, my mom would take my sister and me, and it was a treat to go to the public library. I know it sounds kind of weird, but I mean, this is the 70s, early 80s, mostly the 70s. And we'd get to choose several books for whatever trip we were going to go on. And I had my favorite authors. I loved Judy Blume. What young girl didn't? I loved Beverly Cleary and all of her stories about Ramona Quimby as a little girl. That was big to me. But my favorites were the choose your own adventure stories. All sorts of titles, right? I read The Three Wishes. I read Heroes and Monsters. I read Journey Under the Sea. And one of my favorites, Your Grandparents Are Spies. And so if you're new to that, and I don't think you are, but if you are, you get to choose the ending, 25 different possibilities. So as you're reading the book, comes to a critical part, and you can choose 1, 2, 3, 4, and go in a different direction. And if you were to read it again, you could absolutely read the book 25 times and come up with 25 different endings. And it was fantastic. I loved those. I dreamed as I read those books. And I'm thinking about this today because I read something that the average American child stops reading for fun at the age of 9. 9. Our fourth graders. After that, not really anymore. That's tragic, right? Because it gives us, almost makes us, I think, more susceptible, I think, to fantasy. Like Adam Schiff. Remember Adam Schiff during the Donald Trump impeachment trial, the hearings there, as he did his dreamscape about his phone call with Vladimir Zelensky, who'd then just been elected president of Ukraine. And he said, shorn of its rambling character and in not so many words, this is in essence what the president communicates. And then he goes on to this really weird interpretive like dance of how he perceived a phone call that said nothing the way he had presented it and presented it before Congress. We live now in this Democrat dreamscape where you're told, and you were told last night on CNN in a sit-down interview with Joe Biden, that you just don't understand how much money you really have. That you've been given so much money by the government. How is it possible that you're saying that it's not a good economy? How are you saying that things are expensive and beyond your reach? How are you saying that the American dream is no longer in the grasp of a fair majority of our people? That was Joe Biden's dreamscape. You're going to hear today Lawrence O'Donnell on MSNBC. He's going to do this weird fantasy, sort of like my choose your own adventure of the 1970s, except it's 2024 and he's a grown man and he knows better. And in a 10-minute opening monologue on his program yesterday, decided to dreamscape his way through Stormy Daniels' completely salacious, sleazy, and irrelevant testimony in a case against Donald Trump that isn't even a case. Talking about things that are purely her suggestions. Lawrence O'Donnell takes it and he runs with it. He goes to the back of the book, ending number 25, to present to you his version of what's going on in this country. It is crazy. It is crazy. Look, not only are we not researching on our own? Are we not thinking critically enough on our own? Are we not digging for answers on our own? I told you very specifically about returning from California this weekend and having a very vivid, honest conversation. It was brutal with a family member of mine who tried to tell me that she couldn't possibly vote for Donald Trump because he's a rapist. That is how easy, that is how malleable, that is how mushy and squishy and open to suggestion and other people's alternate realities we've become. Because at some point along the way, we stopped critical thinking. We stopped asking questions. We stopped being honest. We stopped communicating. We stopped reading. Well, today, my goal is to give you everything that you need to know to be equipped, to have a conversation with anybody on any political spectrum that you should encounter. Because you have the leftists, the progressive, Marxist, socialist, communists in your family. And in your circle, I know you do. And I also know that you've sucked it up and you've swallowed it and you've bitten your tongue and you've duct taped your mouth and you've walked away and you've been the bigger person for the sake of sanity and family peace and not rocking the boat. And now's not the time. You're going to reach that moment where you're tapping out because you're done. You're done taking it. You're done swallowing it. You're done faking it. Because, my friends, this is not a choose your adventure ending. This is a very real story of very real people who have been working for decades to, in the next few months, finish the job. And in order to destroy this magnificent country, they have to present to you their Democrat dreamscapes, alternate realities, stories they think you're going to gobble up because you stopped reading for yourself long ago. It's not going to work. That I guarantee. And as an added bonus, I will tell you right now, if you're one of those hop in, hop out listeners, today you might want to stick for all 3 hours because we're going to wrap you up in a fantastic bow that not only will make you laugh, you will say at the end of this program, right on, yes, absolutely. All of that, my friends, all of that. And fantastic audio sound bites on deck, coming up next on the Wendy Bell radio program. Did any of you guys ever read, any of you ladies out there ever read Ramona Quimby?
I did.
Did you?
I did.
I loved her. She was a tomboy.
Always got into trouble.
She always had like barked shins and had dirt on her hands and she was busy. And I loved it.
My mom was a big reader. So I wasn't forced. And she could like speed read.
Oh, I can't do that.
Right? Like she'd read the same books that I would read. And she'd get through it like half the time that it took me.
She wasn't being tested on them.
I never had. Well, she was what?
Was it school stuff or just?
No.
That's nice.
That's
nice. I want to tell you guys quickly about Dr. Richard Rafferty at the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh. You know, I was reading some statistics that tell us 8 out of 10, 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 of us at some point in our lifetime will suffer from spinal related issues. Right? There's a reason why when you get measured or when your kids are growing and they want to get measured, always do it in the morning. Because as you lie vertically, Dr. Rafferty told me this, your discs get spongier and they fluff up a little bit. So they give you a little extra lift. And then by the end of the day, they've compressed from the weight of you walking around, et cetera, et cetera. And so you're shorter. Right? So it makes sense that those discs are a huge part of your spinal health. And when they start to degenerate, when they move, when they go away, and you've got bone on bone, pinched nerves and pain, you've got what my dad has, which is 24/7. Ugh, don't live like that. Don't be part of the $50 billion back pain industry. Get it fixed. And you can get it fixed at the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh. It's non-surgical. Ask about intradisc neuroses. Ask them, is it really 98% successful? 412-906-9600. 412-906-9600. Pittsburgh Disc Institute.com. I would come to Pittsburgh for a month to get this done. Period.
One of the nice things about growing up in a small town is we had a library. And you're talking 30 some odd years ago. They would bring authors in.
Oh, very cool.
And they read their books and stuff like that.
Were they dressed up as drag queens?
No, there were no drag queens. Okay. There was no gender.
Hick.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. What hillbilly? Zelienople hillbillies.
I could ride my bike there.
Right.
But normally we drive there and you'd spend 2 hours.
Hours.
And it
I
was
would drift through and touch all the books.
It was right down the street from the park too. So
loved it. Wow. It seems so much simpler then, right?
it's because it was.
It was. I know. You know, they've been telling us for a long time that those walls out there, that the Republicans, the MAGA extremists, those Trump freaks want it. So racist, so exclusionary, so nationalistic. Well, no, it's actually funny. Majority of us want it. And we want it now. We want it at the border. Let's go. Remember when Donald Trump in 2000 and what was it? 17 or 18 went to Congress and he's like, look, we can move some money around. We don't need $75 billion. I'm making that up out of thin air. I have no idea what the budget is for the IRS, but I'm pretty sure we can pare down the bean counters for a couple years and build the damn wall. Right? He wasn't even saying we're going to screw taxpayers over. We're going to stick them with the bill. At first he'd said we want to make Mexico do it. That didn't happen. That was a huge failure for Donald Trump. No, the huge failure was Congress not approving what is a paltry amount of money. Ladies and gentlemen, this was all planned. Can you imagine how long they have planned this? They need the border to be open. Of course, they didn't want the wall. They have been thinking of this and working backwards for what? 20 years at a minimum? One could probably argue more. So I love this headline from the Daily Wire. Majority of Americans support building border wall, increasing deportations, penalizing businesses that hire illegal immigrants. Oh, you mean like doing what's normal and lawful that protects the citizens? You mean that sane thing that we've been talking about for years, that we were beaten up and dragged through the mud over, that we laughed at the criticism for? Yeah, all of a sudden it seems like, that would have been a good idea. A majority of Americans now, apparently, in favor of several different policies aimed at stopping illegal immigration, including building a wall on the southern border. You know, so many of the stories you're going to get today are going to be like the 3.5, 4 year reflective. You're going to hear Chris Cuomo talking out of a totally different side of his mouth. Mr. 180. Mr. I've got to be relevant no matter what. Is changing direction, a total about face on something that he demonized you and me over relentlessly every night on his stupid program during COVID. This border issue is no different. And we can blame squarely the Democrats in Congress who refused to let Donald Trump's things get through. Oh, by the way, the bigger offenders. The rhinos who create the uniparty, who allowed Mike Johnson to escape an unseating, if you will, yesterday. Very interesting. Public opinion survey here on the wall conducted by Chicago Council on Global Affairs and Ipsos, this was conducted in early April, found a significant partisan divide over immigration policy, although a majority believe that the number of measures should be taken to curtail illegal immigration. What is it about the Democrats that want your streets to be unsafe? What is it about the Democrats that want your Social Security benefits to be claimed by people who've come to this country illegally, who have no skin in the game, who've done nothing to contribute, who demand and are receiving, what, 6 months of free housing in Chicago? As Chicago facilities for children at risk to keep them off the streets and away from violence and gangs and drugs are overtaken and turned into residences for people who we never invited and we don't want. And I don't care if that makes me sound like a bad person. Bad away. I'm cool with that. Build the wall. A slim majority of respondents, 54%, said they favor continuing construction of the border wall. Does it take 8 or 9 million people to come here? Does it take the punishing blow to our economy? Does it take woke Democrat governors and mayors who suck waving their magic wands without approval from their state legislatures to claim that their towns, their states, their areas are sanctuaries for people who just want to suck off the teat of your generosity? And you don't have a say in it. 54% build the wall. 87% of Republicans say that. I want to know, as a conservative, more than a Republican, because I think by and large, the Republicans in Congress are woeful. They're embarrassing. They're corrupt. They've been bribed and blackmailed. They're in on it. They are the uniparty. I identify as a conservative. Why is it that our conservative values are never wrong? I'm not going to say rarely. I'm going to say never, because they are basic and they are common sense. And by the way, they're good for all of America. Why is it that 87% of Republicans can see something so obvious, stop the flow, by preventing them access? It's not hard. While only 28% of Democrats think that should be done. What happened to you on the left? Where did you go? What happened to your party? What happened to your priorities? Look at the people who are slipping through your fingers because they are walking away. A full 65% of all respondents said we should increase the number of deportations, with 89% of Republicans, 66% of independents, and 46% of Democrats in agreement. The story isn't that all of a sudden America has wakened. We've been awake. The loudmouths with the megaphones, with the nappy hair and the signs and the Birkenstocks, they've been enjoying too much of the oxygen. It's time for the adults now to reclaim their time. 48% of Democrats. How are you always on the losing side? And all the while presenting to us your dreamscape of reality, which you are about to hear in just moments. Blistering and far too late. It seems CNN has awakened to Joe Biden sucking at everything he does. The sit-down interview that was only 3 minutes long, every single word you have got to hear, and you will next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Gosh. All of a sudden, I think we should build the wall. That might be a good idea. I think we should be charged taxes differently based on how you vote, right?
Amen
so if you
to
vote
that.
for Democrats, this is your tax bill. This is your gas bill. This is what it's going to cost you to buy that electric vehicle you can't afford that's not going to work and there's no power stations for. That is your bill. This is what you're going to get. This is your life. You live according to this. If you vote Republican, all right, the taxes that you would have spent are going to be cut, right? Business is going to be incentivized. Capitalism is going to be alive and well. It's going to be survival of the fittest, and the fittest always are the most innovative. I don't know. It's not complicated. Texas Bullion Exchange. That's not complicated either. And you know what? Precious metals can be confusing because you're like, I hear people talk about it. I imagine, gold bars, stacks of them. I think we'll start smaller than that, right? You can invest in these precious metals. Palladium, platinum, silver, and gold. All you have to do is get in touch with our friends at Texas Bullion Exchange, texasbullion.com, 855-927-5557. That number is specific for us. So when you call, they're like, hey, it's a Wendy Bell radio listener. What's going on? And then you can say, all right, I've got some questions. I have no idea how this works. Is it affordable? Can I do this? What's it cost? And then if you decide to make a certified coin purchase, you're going to save 10% dropping our name, Wendy Bell Radio. There you go. Easy enough. 855-927-5557. I really enjoy dealing with them. They're super enthusiastic. They're like Harry Enton. He's my boyfriend.
So you wanted before proof of sponsorship. So my guy sent me pictures. So we ended up sponsoring. I told him.
Oh, you're talking baseball.
Yeah, I told him.
I have to like decoder ring. Brock
yeah, sorry.
sometimes. Okay.
So I told him use it for what you needed it for, right?
Well,
baseball, I guess, gets more money than softball.
What'd we give? 2,000
Well, we gave 1,000, and then Paul matched
from Stinkies.
So he's gonna get it. He has a team too. So we got girls softball, which
That's awesome.
I'm so cool with. Like, that's great. You know, I guess baseball gets a lot of more donations.
I was a gold duster for 5 years. Okay.
Oh gosh.
I was awesome.
So here's the front. So girls fast pitch softball.
I love it.
And then here's the back. So that's the team that you guys
oh my God
sponsored. So I'll say it for him because he already said it to me. Thank you.
I don't know why that's making me cry. That's stupid.
Yeah, it is stupid. No, but I told him it doesn't matter for baseball or softball. I'm fine with either. Kids get to play for free because of it. So because you guys donated, you know, you guys helped raise enough money to sponsor a team. So he's actually the coach of the girls team, and he was super pumped.
You have to send that to Paul.
What's that?
You have to send that to Paul. He would flip.
Well, he's going to send me a picture of Paul's.
Oh, Stinkies gets one too?
Yes. He told me Stinkies is getting one too.
Oh my gosh, that makes me so happy.
So it's nice that kids are going to be able to play. And that was basically the whole gist of it, that, you know, kids will be able to play. So yeah, so we'll have to, because he's the coach. I told him we need updates. I told him I want a team photo.
I want to know their name, like what do they go by? I want to know when they play.
They go by, I think it's the Etna Rams.
We got to go to a game.
Okay.
We got to go to a game.
Yeah.
I got to take the boys to a game. You can be a boy.
My friend's daughter's college team just won their championship, and I went to the game. I love watching. I don't know how they hit the ball.
How old are they?
They're under the one we sponsored.
No. Yeah, this one. Yeah.
Under 18. So girls. So kids that should be out playing. You know.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah. Well, I told them that we need a team photo. Maybe when we go to a game, we'll get a team photo with us in it. But I'll get their schedule. I see him tomorrow, so.
That is, I don't know why, but.
She won't come to one of my games, but you know.
That would just be weird. That would just be weird. Hi.
No.
Hi.
You and Di could sit in there and have cups that don't have logos on them and have beers.
Well, you seem to think that I need to be incentivized with hazy IPAs, which is normally the case.
Yeah, right?
But,
like, am I too far off here?
I mean, I think that's a little offensive right now at 9:34 in the morning to make such a submission.
I keep telling them every year that I'm going to live stream a game. So then people can laugh. What was your first response? Can we, what was it? Can we mock you? Oh, great. That's fantastic.
I would not mock you. It's so stupid.
Really?
All right. So sometimes you just gotta hear something. You listen to it. It's only a couple minutes long. And the entire time your mouth is open and you're saying, say what? I mean, that's all the time. It's all the time anymore. Look, I think we're very basic. at some point during COVID, there was a switch in me that was flipped. And I became very sensitive to lies, to liars, to propaganda, to deception, to all of it. And I stopped accepting it in my life. And that meant several relationships fell apart. But when you decide that you're going to live an honest life, no games, no fibs, just facts and truth, it's a journey you can't turn back from, because you become intolerant and offended by those who don't behave similarly. I think America is made up of so many wonderful people. And unfortunately, news gives us snapshots of people at their worst. That's why I love good news so much. Because at least once a week, we can focus on something extraordinary. A gift, a blessing, something. Because what we hear every day feels like nonstop garbage. Because it is. I've watched the death of our media, and it's hurtful. And you're going to hear it now. Joe Biden sat down with Erin Burnett on CNN. And this is on her show Out Front. I find this offensive because being an old school television news anchor, I would never be as political or biased or one-sided ever. It was not allowed. It was Voldemort. It was he who should not be named, but that which shall never be done. Nobody should know your politics. Your politics have no role in this newsroom. And then all of a sudden that changed. Erin Burnett flits in and out of reality. And she starts this sit down with Joe Biden, basically asking him, look, the clock is ticking. You only have a couple months until this election. Americans say they would trust Donald Trump much more than you with all matters financial, with the economy, with inflation, with jobs, with all of this stuff. Are you beginning to freak out a little bit? The beginning is encouraging. Oh, she's asking honest questions. But see, being honest in media involves pushing back when you know you are being lied to, even if you're being lied to by a man with dementia. Erin Burnett, CNN, sit down with Joe Biden, audio soundbite 1.
So when you talk about the economy, of course, it is by far the most important issue for voters. It's also true right now, Mr. President, that voters by a wide margin trust Trump more on the economy. They say that in polls. And part of the reason for that may be the numbers. And you're aware of many of these, of course. The cost of buying a home in the United States is double what it was when you look at your monthly costs from before the pandemic. Real income, when you account for inflation, is actually down since you took office. Economic growth last week, far short of expectations. Consumer confidence, maybe no surprise, is near a 2-year low. With less than 6 months to go to Election Day, are you worried that you're running out of time to turn that around?
Wow, that's encouraging, right? You're kind of like being primed. You're getting ready. I like it. What? Is CNN coming around? Do they realize the error of their suck? Are they finally going to do an about face and start telling the truth? No. Here's Joe Biden. Listen to Joe. By the way, I'm going to paint the picture. He looks like he's out in left field. He looks like John Fetterman during the first interview he did after his stroke, where you see him looking and you can see the wheels moving, but it's not registering. That is the vacancy on Joe Biden's face. This is the whopper from your commander-in-chief.
We've already turned it around. Look at the Michigan survey. For 65% of the American people think they're in good shape economically. They think the nation's not in good shape, but they're personally in good shape. The polling data has been wrong all along. How many, you guys do a poll with CNN, how many folks you have to call to get one response? The idea that we're in a situation where things are so bad.
We are in a situation where things are so bad. What happened to his chin? Can anybody tell me what the hell's going on with this guy's face? It's so weird. It's like every day there's a new thing to discover on Joe Biden's face. What is that? It's the polling, he says. It's the polling. Well, the polling is pretty much all across the country. Some of the polling shows Donald Trump up by 10 in national polls. The swing states, the black voters, the women, the Hispanics, the college students, now suburban women. What? It's the polling. And then he says this. He continues because she doesn't stop him and say, Mr. President, I mean, come on now. He goes on to say, look at the jobs. I've created all these jobs. Listen, and then let's refute. Go.
The folks, we've created more jobs. We're in a situation where people have access to good paying jobs. And the last I saw, the combination of the inflation, the cost of inflation, all those things, that's really worrisome to people with good reason. That's why I'm working very hard to bring the cost of rentals down, to increase the number of homes that are available.
What? He's working very hard to bring the cost of rentals down? The American dream isn't to rent forever, Joe. It's also not to work on minimum wage at McDonald's for 30 years. What are you going to do to make more houses available on the market? Because last I checked, when Donald Trump left office, the 30-year fixed rate for a mortgage was 2.7%. People could afford that. You know what people can afford? They can buy. That money goes into the economy. It's amazing how that works. Basic rudimentary economics 101. 2.7% under Trump today, 7.52. What? When the average rent for a 2-bedroom house or apartment is just shy of $2,000, the median $2,000, Joe? You did that. Where's the sticker for us to put on it? I did that. The inflation rate was always under 3%, sometimes under 2% during all 4 years of Donald Trump's being in office, cratering to near zero during the peak pandemic. Now, where are we? What? Where's the pushback, Aaron Burnett? Well, don't hold your breath, because he continues. Here's Joe Biden with marbles in his mouth. He's going to whisper and speak slowly, which is the strategy of somebody who's demented, who's been taught to drop a line. And he's going to try to tell her, look, the stock market is fantastic. That doesn't matter to people who don't have skin in the game. Go.
Let me say it this way. When I started this administration, people were saying there's going to be a collapse of the economy. We have the strongest economy in the world. Let me say it again, in the world.
Although GDP last week was far short of expectations.
Oh, it wasn't. Look, GDP is still growing. Look at the response of the markets. Overwhelmingly positive. Overwhelmingly positive. And one of the reasons why people feel good about it not being as strong as it was before is they believe that the Fed's going to respond.
They hope they're going to get a rate cut.
Yeah.
He just basically said, how many people do you think in this country do not have a dollar invested in the stock market? How many people in this country live paycheck to paycheck and are now working multiple jobs? So don't try to beat your chest and say that you created jobs when you force people to go from one income to two themselves. No skin in the game. I live about a mile and a half from my local post office. My local post office is in a zip code which is predominantly black. There's a reason why every single time I'm in line, waiting to pick up or mail some package, there is somebody invariably in front of me getting a mail order. You have people who pay their bills via mail orders, via no bank account at all, who do not have any skin in the game, Joe. So don't try to tell us how wonderful the markets are, because it ain't trickling down to the average taxpayer. And he continues. He says, no other president has been able to do what he's done. Now, I would agree with that, but not for the reasons he says. No other president has destroyed such a great thing in so fast a period of time than Joe Biden. Listen.
Well, but I mean, no president's had the run we've had in terms of creating jobs and bringing down inflation. It was 9% when I came to office.
What? It was 9% when you came into office? That's absolutely farcical. And she doesn't push back. Look, you don't have to be a business major. You don't have to be well-schooled in economics to know damn well that when Joe Biden took office, life was pretty freaking good. We didn't get involved in world wars. The government was staying out of our finances, out of our lives. We had gotten tax cuts, not just for the rich, but the majority for the middle class. Gas cost $2.47. Now under Joe Biden, $3.79 I paid yesterday. $3.79. I'm going to drop this number. I'm going to drop a few more sound bites on you after the break. I don't want to squeeze them in here. Don't lie to the American people and try to tell us that you inherited a country in decline because we were energy independent for the first time. Record low unemployment, record high opportunity, and you destroyed it. We continue with more facts for Joe's feelings next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Power Surge Central.
Hey, thanks to Chala. Gave $20 for ice cream after the first win. We're assuming they're going to win.
You are so kind. All of you guys, think about the money you raised for January 6th. We were able to do more than $4,000. That's crazy. It's because of you guys. Let's see. Who do I want to talk about? You know what? I got something from Ireland Contracting, and I want to share this with you. So we had, not last night, but the night before, we had a super strong cell of storms over at least my neighborhood in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It was crazy. The wind was ferocious, the lightning nutty. I'm sure there were trees that were upended and all this stuff. I don't watch the news, so I can't tell you for sure, but I guarantee. And I'm sure people got flooded and had some damage. Ireland Contracting sends this out. I'm a customer, so I'm on their email list. They very rarely do this, but how smart is this? Hello, neighbor. Wow, those storms were crazy last night. We hope you and your family are safe and well. We thought we would send a quick note to check in to make sure your home was not impacted by the heavy winds and rains. If you've noticed siding or shingles that have been blown off, if you've noticed leaks or water damage, we're on standby, ready to assist. Click the big green button below to request an appointment. We will call back. We will get you on the schedule ASAP. Have a great day. Diane and Gary, Ireland. Can you imagine if your government acted as proactively, as responsibly, as immediately as Ireland Contracting. Look, if you're in southwestern Pennsylvania, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. That is what they do. That's the people you want on your side. Home exterior renovation, IrelandContracting.com. All right, so where do we leave off?
We only have one left.
Okay. I have a very interesting little blurby to read.
Zipper Ham started following your channel.
Oh.
Jonathan T.O. started following. Bonnie Ford VB started following.
Hey, welcome.
Ms. Merrill.
Well, we are glad you're here. We're almost at 14,000.
Glam went Ma 64. Logan Sandman. SEC Martin.
Wow. Hey, if you guys would hit the join button rather, on the Rumble page, if we get 100 people clicking that, we could hit 40,000 followers today during
Patriot,
this
Georgia.
During this show. It's right there under the video box, right underneath the Rumble button, or right next to the Rumble button.
We may get there.
You think?
Yeah, there's so many.
How you doing?
And join our locals page too.
We do fun stuff on the locals page.
Yeah, I posted the picture again of Donald Trump in court.
Which one?
Remember the one I made?
Oh, yes. Ouch. I ran into the wall earlier. Have you ever done that? You walked into your door.
The handle didn't move. That's real nice.
He went kunk, and he walks in. He's like, "Oh, I thought he was joking. I shouldn't laugh. I hope you're fine."
Wow.
No, it was funny.
Wow.
Look, if you'd been bleeding or something, I would have taken a picture and then laughed.
Exactly. I know.
So Joe Biden just got finished lying to us, which isn't, terribly new. He's got the same old stories. He's got his own Democrat dreamscape he's got to drop on you. But he just dropped this whopper that when he came into office, inflation was 9%. Now, Erin Burnett knows better, and she could have been like this. And it's very easy. I've interviewed people for decades, right? Whoa. Wait. Excuse me, Mr. President. What did you just say? One, you force him to have to remember, which in and of itself could be interesting. But number two, make him defend that. And then say, sir, that's factually incorrect. You're allowed to do that even if you're interviewing the president of the United States, allegedly. So let's just see. Jobs numbers, he's created more than anybody else out there, right? He's the guy. He's the secret sauce that got us back on our feet after COVID. Well, it's so interesting that if that were the case, your government wouldn't need to go back retroactively to modify the record and, erase all the overstated jobs numbers. What's this headline? Fox Business. Initial U.S. employment reports overstated by 439,000 jobs. That's not an oopsies. That's not a coding error. That's not our machine was broken. I don't know what happened. That's called, we lied to you to get the headline because we needed something critical in the moment. And then when we thought you guys weren't paying attention, we went back in the back door. A la Cassidy Hutchinson amending her testimony before Congress and before the January 6th committee. We're going to change it. How about this number? 8.7 million Americans, a record high, hold multiple jobs to make ends meet. Look, having to get a side hustle or to get a job like the Gen Zers are with Crowds on Demand because it pays damn good, right? Up to $500 a day to go be a malignant ne'er-do-well agitator who supports terrorists and hates Jews on college campuses. Let's go. 8.7 million of us are working more than one job in Joe Biden's economy to survive. Do you think those 8.7 million people give a fat rip about the stock market? I don't think so. Joe Biden continues. This is the last one. Now, he did blame other things. There were other audio sound bites we could have shared with you. But because we care about you, right, and the madness of these Democrats, we're not going to spend too much time belaboring Joe Biden's suck. But it's not a Joe Biden sit-down interview if he's not lying and pointing fingers somewhere else. Audio soundbite 6.
Look, people have a right to be concerned. Ordinary people, the idea that you bounce a check and you get a $30 fee for bouncing the check might change that. You can't charge more than $8 for that. Or your credit card, your late payment, $35. I mean, there's corporate greed going on out there, and it's got to be dealt with.
Burnett the whole time is going, His big claim to fame there is bounced check fees he's cut because so many people are freaking bouncing them. How about all of the interest rates and the late fees on your credit cards and all that stuff? Well, we've worked hard to lower that. Well, you know why you don't have to do that? In what circumstance you don't have to do that? When people are able to survive, Joe. And I think the overarching question I have, is he really deluded? I mean, does he think he's really effective? Does he think he's a strong, effective leader? Or is he just running for re-election to stay out of prison? Because that's how I'm viewing this. We know without a doubt, with bank records, right? With suspicious activity reports, with emails, with the laptop that they told us was a lie and a joke and disinformation. We know all of these things. Joe Biden and his family, at a minimum, have been enriched to the tune of $30 million with no skill, no actual ability, no business, and nobody making them explain how. Aaron Burnett certainly isn't about to start. It is not a sign of strength to lie about economics or jobs or to insult people who are scared because of your feckless leadership and your corruption and your hate of America. It is not fair, and it is a dreamscape that we in the United States of America thoroughly reject. It's not just Joe Biden's dreamscape. It gets worse. It depends. It could get better depending on how much you like to be entertained. Lawrence O'Donnell. I don't know if he's fantasizing about Stormy Daniels or what. Kind of sounds like it in his opening monologue last night. Oh my goodness. Worth the price of admission, which is free. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Well, you got to love Joe in the beginning of that little interview. He says people have more money in their pockets. And then by the end, he's talking about people bouncing checks. Great. Makes a lot of sense, Joe.
There are so many ways we could have gone with that. I want to take my hair and I want to put it in a ponytail on the top of my head and get it the hell off my face because I'm roasting.
It's comfortable in here.
I just had a power surge.
Oh, well, I don't have those.
Well, I didn't either until about 2 years ago. Thanks.
There's Joe blaming other people.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
All right. I want to get to this site, getcert.com. I really enjoy the flavor of this stuff, you guys. So this is the stuff I talk about. Getcert.com, right? It's a powder. I tend to spill it all over the place, which sucks, but looks like that. Little scooper, little scoop-a-doop. Put a little scoop of that in some fresh water. Shake that bad boy up. And you have this. It is so good. All right. So cert foods. It's interesting. There are certain foods out there that a couple of world renowned, let me see exactly how I describe them. They are two international best-selling authors, right? And they put together this diet, the cert foods diet. And you're like, what's that? What are cert foods? There's specific foods, and I'll give you a few of them. Buckwheat, capers, celery, cocoa, coffee, extra virgin olive oil, green tea, kale, medjool dates. I don't eat a lot of those. Do you guys? Parsley, red chicory, strawberries, turmeric, and walnuts. Cert foods that do specific things inside of your body, which enable you, and you got a couple really powerful testimonials. One is a Grammy award-winning artist who lost more than 100 pounds. I'm not going to give you her name because she doesn't endorse it, and I'm not going to do that. 100 pounds. She was on this diet. Conor McGregor, David Hay say that their shredded bodies are because of this Get Cert. So all of these ingredients combined into one revolutionary, powerful drink, so you can get all sorts of benefits. Brain fog, right? How about no? How about digestion? How about lean muscle mass? How about having more energy during the day, more stamina doing the things that you enjoy doing? GetCert.com. GetCert.com, you use my name, Wendy. If you do a /Wendy, GetCert.com/Wendy, you're going to get $20 off. $20 off. I very much enjoy it. Heather, if you're on here, I wonder if Heather from Renfrew, if she had a knee operation and she started drinking this. And I want to know what she thinks about it. GetCert.com. I think these things are fascinating, specifically coming up to Mother's Day. There's so many neat things that we can try, and it provides vitamins and nutrients and all of these things that maybe a lot of us aren't getting. So try it. I think it's delicious. You haven't tried it yet, Brock.
I have not.
Would you want to?
No.
Okay.
I've been drinking the Field of Greens.
Yes. Oh, you have been. I'm going to be talking about that in the third hour of the show.
Okay.
They're different. I think Brock should say something nice to me, something kind and friendly.
After you laughed at me walking into a door because the handle didn't move and it was supposed to. Yeah. Now I should say something right.
Look, and I see after a power surge, you get all greasy looking.
Greasy.
And Newsmax is about to take us live for 2 hours. So this is going to move the needle. What do you guys think? Is that better?
Oh, yeah.
Right? I know. How you doing? All right, Brock, talk while I primp. What's going on? Oh. I tried a new roll-on pain reliever. Hey, man, I'll try anything.
How's it working?
It has worked.
I was going to say, you haven't said anything.
It has worked.
Typically,
And I just took it, and I went all over my foot, right? Just like that.
The sound effects are what really sell it.
Yeah. And I will say, half of an hour later,
all the noises just sell it.
I can be quiet.
Here we go. See?
Well, look, it's hard being fabulous.
I know.
That was disturbing. What's everybody saying? What's happening?
New merch. We're really trying to.
We got to get our app fixed.
Yeah.
Look, and some people have ordered stuff that we don't have in stock. Like, we have to major overhaul and streamline our system. And sadly, with kids and these jobs and Brock saying you, whatever.
I'm trying to work with them today and see if if not, I'm going to build a third app because I really only need the front page because all apps lead you to a website essentially. So don't worry. I have plenty of time to do all this.
I figured.
Yeah.
I know you do.
Oh.
Right? At least from where I'm sitting.
I can't wait till tomorrow.
What's tomorrow?
Friday.
Oh, yes. Friday, getting my gray hair colored. I'll be chemically dependent again. Can you see it? You can see it. I wonder how white I would be.
You didn't say anything. I got some sun yesterday cutting the grass.
You do. You look handsome. I have to say. You do. You look handsome.
Wow.
Okay, you're ugly. And you're a loser. There we go.
Wow. You doubled down. You go that extra mile. That's always like you, just to go that extra mile. Wow. Don't worry about my feeling.
Brock has a singular feeling. He has one. It's all right.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America, one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
They believe that they can destroy this bond that exists between you and Trump if they somehow make Trump look bad, make Trump look like a reprobate, embarrass you about Trump. They can't do it because you came before Trump. Desperately want Trump gone, and I know that they desperately want it codified, that Trump cannot run again, because make no mistake, they remain scared to death of you, and they remain scared to death of Trump. Trump, 75 million, 80 million votes. And I'm going to tell you, you're not going anywhere. Even if Trump does, you're not. Which I think remains one of our big campaign strengths going forward. They can't separate you from Trump. And more importantly, they can't separate you from the ideas. They can't separate you from MAGA. They can't separate you from Make America Great Again.
From sea to shining sea, 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. The Wendy Bell Radio Program.
Welcome back. Already hour number 2 on the Wendy Bell Radio Program. Hey, this is a quick reminder. If you are not listening to this show on the podcast, Wendy Bell Radio, wherever you get your favorite listening material, please join us. 2.5 million people in like a year and a couple months have downloaded our app onto their phones to take us with them wherever they go. You can do it too. It's easy. It makes sense. We tell the truth. Wendy Bell Radio. I watch it in my husband when he comes home from the hospital. He's a cardiologist, interventional cardiologist. He's not a surgeon. He's not going to crack you open. He's not going to cut into you. He's the guy you go to before you need the surgeon. Interventional. He intervenes before you get to that spot. He puts in stents. Amazing technology through the femoral and the radial arteries. Can put something small in your wrist. It can take a wire from your wrist all the way up and through your arm down into your heart. And he can open up blockages so your blood can flow freely. It's amazing stuff. And in the last several years, I've watched him come home defeated because the medical industry has changed. Barack Obama got his grubby little hands all over it and destroyed, for a grift, a money laundering operation, destroyed medical care in this country. And it's very difficult to watch. I feel the same way about journalism, about media, because I've watched the same demise. When was the last time you watched something on the quote-unquote news and were inspired by it? Or felt you weren't being propagandized or just flat out lied to? I stopped watching about 7 years ago. So when I find audio sound bites like we did last night from Lawrence O'Donnell's show on MSNBC, this guy's been around since dirt, right? Gloves are off. True colors are out, my friends. His fingerprints are all over the sock. And you need to hear his dreamscape of what happened in court in this hush money trial, which is really an accounting thing. It's about a ledger. It's about a check. It's about how it was entered into certain X, Y, or Z. It has nothing to do with what was presented in court 2 days ago by Stormy Daniels. And before we even get into this, let's remember that both Trump and Stephanie Cliffords have agreed together on separate occasions, multiple times, there was no affair. There was no sex. And this has been said repeatedly, but like Charlottesville, why let a great headline for the Democrats go to waste? And they have beaten it like a piñata. So Lawrence O'Donnell is going to come on MSNBC. He has a 10-minute monologue. I didn't want to give so much of it to you, but you've got to hear. You've got to hear how he describes in his own weird dreamscape way. And I don't even know if he was in the courtroom. I would bet you no. I guarantee you no. He's going to create an image of Stormy Daniels, a.k.a. Stephanie Clifford, as a nun, as a pure as the driven snow soccer mom, wearing very light makeup, looking as though she was just about to make dinner, to sit down and maybe tend to her horses out in the fields. Ew. Audio soundbite number 1 of total wacko progressive bullcrap, Lawrence O'Donnell.
Well, the excitement and anticipation in the room hit a new high at 10:32 a.m. She entered wearing all black, as if on her way to a funeral. The loose-fitting, plain black clothing draping from her shoulders to her toes suggested the modesty of a nun. The makeup was minimal, the way she and the other moms in her neighborhood might look when shopping at the local grocery store. The long blonde hair held up with a clip at the back of her head, the way it might be in a utilitarian way while she was doing dishes or checking one of the horseshoes on her horse she later spoke of so proudly.
Oh my gosh, I have to blow down my shirt. I just got a major power surge because that was hilarious. Oh my gosh, like a nun. It was draping off of her shoulders down to her toes. A utilitarian clip, getting the hair out of her face while she got ready to make a meatloaf. I mean, come on. She's a porn star. You can put lipstick on a pig, yo, and it's still a pig. Minimalist makeup. She didn't want to look like a hooker or a whore. Are you getting it? Okay, that's the setup. All right? Setting the scene. She walks in. The innocent victim he's going to go on to now. And when she walked by Donald Trump, oh my gosh. Go.
In the next couple of minutes, when she walked by him, her face had the same expressionless, somber look that all the jurors always have when they walk by him, looking at the floor. She didn't look at him. The first time they were in a room together, his bodyguard was standing outside the door. This time, his bodyguards were much closer. She was alone in the room with him that first time. This time, there were over 100 people in the room, all watching her, except him.
Ew. What do you even say about that? First of all, he sounds like Adam Schiff. I'm going to tell you something, see? We've been very good to you, see? You remember that stupid dream sequence? What the hell is Lawrence O'Donnell smoking? She's a porn star. That's fine. It's cool. Whatever. It's your field. But don't try to make it sound like Donald Trump, who she and he have repeatedly said never had sex with her, is some kind of a deviant. Last time I checked, Donald Trump's not the dude showering with his daughter. I'm just going to go there, right? Okay. Ew. And then he's going to try to create further the girl next door. When we learned where Stormy Daniels was raised, this is like a campaign ad. What does this have to do with Donald Trump being on trial, being indicted for a check he did not write, for sex he did not have, for intimate relations he said never went down? I don't know. It's called your Democrat dreamscape.
In the next couple of minutes, we learned that she was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Quote, my parents split up when I was 4 years old. I was mostly raised by mom, very low income family. She was a single working mom. I went to a private, very Christian, very strict elementary school that my dad paid for. I was editor of my high school paper, so I was in the journalist club. She was in a room filled with journalists, many of whom were probably editors of their high school newspapers, but there the similarity ended between her and anyone else in that room. She described the beginning of her career as what she called an exotic dancer and said, quote, the people who make the most for their appearances were the people the girls, performers who had done adult films. And so she acted in her first adult film, along with a girlfriend of hers.
What does this have to do with anything? What? And Lawrence O'Donnell sitting there trying to create this. This is like the campaign ad from, Billy Bumpkin out in the sticks who wants to do something and run for office. My dad was a barber and a volunteer fireman, and my mom was a school teacher for years before the accident took her vision. I raised myself and my 17 siblings, and we worked from nothing, by golly, right? She came from nothing, but she went to strict schools. And then she felt like she had no other recourse than to become a porn star. Okay. And by the way, everything that he's saying is directly from her mouth. There's no attribution. He doesn't say Stormy Daniels reported blah, blah, blah. He's dreamscaping it. Ew. And we're just getting started because next, when we come back, the moment she met Donald Trump, it was on that hole of that golf course when she was working for Wicked Films, and she was there, and their eyes met. Oh boy, do not go anywhere. What's next on the Wendy Bell radio program? Oh boy. Oh boy.
He's going to turn that in for an Emmy.
It is so gross. Look, journalism isn't about theatrics. It's like science shouldn't be about, suspicions. It should be about facts. That's exactly the same.
I remember sending that to you last night. Like, you have to listen to this. It was
delicious. I mean, in a very sad, disturbing way. How would he know how every juror who walks in has looked like? Has he been there always the whole time? What a creep. Is that creepy? It's creepy. Can you imagine if he was your grandpa? You'd be like, ooh. Watch it there, Pops. Simkovich Concussion Institute.
Lawrence needs them.
Yes. Best place you ever want to be. Absolutely wonderful staff. Doctor is outstanding. Recommended to all. Nicole from Greensburg, Pennsylvania. Dr. Charlie Simkovich helped a patient regain her memory after 5 years of amnesia. 5 years. When you have a concussion, go see him. The effects could be lasting if you don't get it corrected. Trust me, I know all too well. I did not start to feel better until I saw him. That's Tristan from Pittsburgh. Dr. Simkovich, thank you for getting me through this. That's Emily from Claysburg, Pennsylvania. And finally, this says it all. Dr. Simkovich is the best. Colby from Bradford Woods, Pennsylvania. Look, this is in Pittsburgh. Simkovich Concussion Institute. He's the guy. He is the guy. Traumatic brain injury, concussion, chronic migraine headaches. They get you at a chemical level in your brain. Doc Simkovich does, and they fix you. And they do it quickly, and they do it effectively so that you can get on with your life. 412-366-3700. 412-366-3700. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. He's awesome.
I take that back. I don't even think Dr. Simkovich could fix Lawrence O'Donnell.
It's very disappointing. We have a lot of sound to get through here. Hopefully I'll manage it.
He keeps going and going.
It doesn't stop.
No.
It doesn't stop. And it gets even more like...
They went an hour without
perverse.
Bringing it up.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
It's because the court case has nothing to do with it.
If you're saying that he broke the law, it was a felony, that Donald Trump tried to hide a ledger accounting of a $130 check to Stephanie Clifford's that he didn't write, that Michael Cohen admits to writing, and that Michael Cohen and Stephanie Clifford's were having an affair when it was Michael Cohen who concocted this whole story. Why isn't Michael Cohen the one who's being investigated? Oh, because he's not running for election and isn't the guy who's going to upend their plans of suck to destroy America. Other than that, I got nothing. Who knows?
I just got the schedule.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
This is for softball?
Yeah. Well, they play a game on the south side.
Let's make sure it's easy for you.
Did I say that?
No, I did.
I got to find out what their home field is. So.
I got a ton to get through here.
Yes, you do.
We're not going to make it all, but we'll carry. You got to love Lawrence O'Donnell, MSNBC, drifting in his Democrat dreamscape of political propaganda as he describes the time when Stormy Daniels first met Donald Trump. Listen.
4 years later, she was at a celebrity golf tournament in Nevada where the adult film company Wicked Entertainment was sponsoring one of the holes on the golf course. Question. And did you meet Donald Trump on the golf course at that celebrity golf tournament in Lake Tahoe? Answer, yes, I did. Question, can you describe how you encountered him on the golf course? Answer, it was a very brief encounter. The players were playing. They came through very quickly. We met every person who was in the golf tournament at the moment. They came through. Obviously, they would take their shot. I would say hello and introduce myself to them. I introduced myself to the company and the other contract girls, not just to Mr. Trump, but every player that came through, gave them water, posed for pictures. It was a very brief encounter on the course. Every one of the dozens and dozens of golfers that day had a brief encounter with Stormy Daniels at that hole on the golf course. For Donald Trump, the encounter continued today in a Manhattan courtroom almost 18 years later.
Oh my God, Larry thinks he's getting an Oscar. He's trying to get an Emmy. What is he doing? Larry, abort, abort. You're going down. Well, let's see where he goes. Because he apparently believes that Donald Trump is guilty until proven innocent. Listen.
Donald Trump was the only man on that golf course that day who did something stupid enough to land him in the defendant's chair in a courtroom today for the $130,000 paid to Stormy Daniels to buy her silence about what happened next.
That is pure political propaganda. That is Lawrence O'Donnell being the media side of the wrap-up smear. He is now merchandising it, spreading the lie, all of it to the audience. So let's talk about the sex-filled night. I know you don't want to. I don't either. But Larry does. Listen.
Stormy Daniels told her now familiar story of that evening in the hotel room with Donald Trump, leaving out some of the details that she has included in previous television interviews. at the direction of the judge, who tried to keep those details to an absolute minimum. But Donald Trump was apparently bothered by everything he heard in her testimony, because the judge held a bench conference with the lawyers in the middle of Stormy Daniels' direct testimony outside of the hearing of the jury, in which the judge told Donald Trump's defense lawyer that Donald Trump had committed contempt of court right there in his chair in the courtroom this morning.
Can you imagine being Trump and being accused of things that you say never happened, a check that you never wrote, a porn star you say you never had relations with, and then being told by the judge in the case that you have to sit and you have to listen to hours of lies down to the specifics of underwear and whether or not there was a condom? I can't fathom. I cannot fathom. Now, I have 3 more audio sound bites. Brock, is it possible for me to skip to the last one? Is that going to screw you up? I want you to hear this. Look, this testimony, this ridiculosity of this testimony is purposeful. It has nothing to do with $130,000 and Donald Trump's allegation that he never gave Stormy Daniels any money. This is about Lawrence O'Donnell spinning a story, his own Democrat Dreamscape, obsessing over a porn star who he is desperate to portray to you as an innocent victim, a girl next door, and he drops it with this delicious whopper.
On cross-examination, Trump defense lawyer Susan Neckles spent a full hour of flat, unrevealing question and answer before ever getting to Stormy Daniels' testimony about having sex with Donald Trump. Susan Neckles used the word pornography several times to describe what Stormy Daniels does for a living. It was all leading to the one point that Susan Neckles wanted to make for the jury. Question: you were looking to extort money from President Trump, right? Answer: false. Susan Neckles did not complete her cross-examination today when the court session ended at 4:24 p.m. She had just begun asking Stormy Daniels about her attempt through her lawyer, Keith Davidson, to sell her story to the National Enquirer during Donald Trump's presidential campaign in June of 2016. Stormy Daniels' answer as to why she was trying to sell her story to the Enquirer was, quote, "get the story out and make some money." For most of Stormy Daniels' testimony, she was wearing professorial eyeglasses that created even more of a remove from the image of adult actress.
That is called weird, gross, and fictitious. Ew. That is your mainstream media, friends. That's where it's gone. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends, let's talk about ego and ignorance colliding. Oh my gosh, who could we be talking about? So many options. Okay, it's Chris Cuomo. Oh, this is fantastic. Don't go anywhere. Oh my God. Professorial glasses. Do you guys think my $1.99 glasses from the dollar store, are these professorial? I don't know. I don't have one of those clips, the back of my neck, the way she did as she walked in with a black dress draping off her shoulders down to her toes.
Do you know where White Oak is?
Yes.
Is that near you?
No, it's closer to you.
Oh.
It's over by like Dormont, Brentwood. Right?
They have a 4:00 game. A lot of them are 8:00. That seems late.
My sons have soccer practice some nights until 9:30.
I mean, my games
40 minutes away.
But my games are at 8:00. But that's because the younger kids play before us,
Right. I have a slight headache after. Who needs a loofah? I need a loofah sponsor. Because at that point, you could just take it out and be like, all right, I got to wash this crap off because I feel soiled.
May 19th. You'll have to check your schedule.
What day of the week is that?
It's a Sunday.
Ah. What time?
Like 4, I think it said.
I might be able to pull that off.
What's that?
I might be able to pull that off. Oh, Patriot Switch. I looked around my house today, and I'm just going to go from the first floor, okay? Things in my house that are Patriot Switch. Dish soap, hand soap in the bathroom, toilet bowl cleaner, dishwashing detergent. Fantastic. Something called EcoSense, which is one of the greatest things. You pour a little bit into a bucket of water. First of all, it smells like heaven. Secondly, it cleans everything like crazy. Right? I've got the scented oil plugins. I have their candles. I have their collagen. I have their supplements. And then we go upstairs and let's see, what do we have? We have lotion, mascara, eyeshadow, foundation, powder, blush. I have eyeliner, shampoo, deodorant. I have their shaving gel. I have the shower cleaner. I have the laundry soap. I've got the white stuff that makes all of your whites so much brighter. Oh, I've got the mop and the floor. Oh my gosh, blows your mind. What else do I have? It goes on and on.
Bars.
I have protein bars.
Soap?
I have soap. I have their bars of soap. I have their toothpaste, their mouthwash. I have everything. I don't, because I've only gotten like 60, 50 or 60 of their things. And they sell 450 different products. So Patriot Switch is not a store. It's not a company. It's a movement. And when you decide that you've had enough of paying out the wazoo for products that have parent companies who don't agree with your values, and you're like, you know what? I'm ready to switch. I don't want to just switch my toothpaste. I'm ready to get these Procter & Gamble and Unilever and Johnson & Johnson products out of my house. I want a company that believes in faith and family and freedom. That's based in Idaho Falls, Idaho, that employs only American citizens, that owns all of its property, all of its equipment, that ships direct to your door in 48 hours at a, lickety split, that has the finest customer service, that encourages the people who work for them, and I'm one of them, to pay off their debt, to live healthfully and in the most, with the highest well-being possible. Health and wellness. That's Patriot Switch. If that's interesting to you and you want to make the switch, and then you like it so much that you think, I could probably represent this company, you can make significant income. I will tell you, it is a great, great company. It's not a scam. It's not mid-level marketing, whatever. It's not like Avon. It's not like Tupperware. It's not like any of that stuff. It is singularly outstanding. And it's called patriotswitch.com/Wendy. patriotswitch.com/Wendy. Ask to join our family. We've got like more than 1,000 people in it. It's pretty good. Yes.
Apparently you were wrong.
Oh, gosh.
You were thinking of Whitehall and not White Oak.
Oh, I was thinking about Whitehall. You're right.
Apparently White Oak's near McKeesport.
That is correct. That is where that one radio station was.
Oh.
Right?
I guess. I don't know.
No, you're right. I was mistaken on that. I beg your pardon.
Well, the nice thing is on a Sunday, unless you're golfing.
Let's see where we are. Or if I was at Princeton, let's see where we're at. Let's see where us is at.
You can slow down that at
I know.
the Rumbles.
Yeah, we only have 2.6. Where were we on the leaderboard?
I didn't even look.
I'm looking. Don't you dare.
Okay. Oh, wow. Probably 5, 6.
6.
6.
81.4. That's pretty amazing. I love it. You guys are the best. All right.
You never say that about me.
You're the best, Brock.
Too late.
Well. I remember we had a family trip. Well, actually, I had a trip out to California a couple years ago during the height of COVID. Well, it was the height of the craze. Everybody's still get the vaccine, whatever. You do you, I'll do me. If we had stopped it at that, I think a lot of these issues wouldn't have happened. And I remember we were taking my son Jack out to college of Loyola Marymount University in California. And I was going out there. We're going to move him into his dorm, et cetera, et cetera. And we're going to go out to eat with my mom and dad and my sister and her husband and their sons. And it kind of became this rigmarole that because I wasn't vaccinated, I wasn't allowed to go to the lion's share of the restaurants in their neighborhood that required vaccination. I mean, think about that. Think about such an intrusive, ridiculous statement for businesses to get behind. So un-American, so judgy. We don't want to tell a woman what to do when she's pregnant. God forbid, it's not your body. It's not your business. Back off, Buster. But if it comes to something like a vaccine, let's all bandwagon that. Hop on board, point fingers, and demonize people who actually think for themselves and aren't sold. Like, you know what? I need a little bit more data. Chris Cuomo was one of those suckers. I remember watching him because he was so adamant. He used his anchor position, sort of like Lawrence O'Donnell just did, to drift off into some fictitious world of make-believe to specifically smear Donald Trump with allegations and not corroborated evidence. Just a wistful dreamscape. This was every night with Chris Cuomo. And I think we saw it when he and his brother of suck, Andrew, were talking about Andrew's great handling of COVID in the nursing homes in New York, which ended in tens of thousands of people dying. Great job there, Andy. And then they held up a huge Q-tip making fun of the lobotomy that you used to get when they would swab you for COVID and jam that thing back into your cortex. And I knew he sucked. He sucked long before that. I find it very interesting, his about face. It seems like truly these stories that they've beaten and beaten and beaten, ultimately the science comes out. Ultimately the facts come out. Ultimately in Fulton County, Georgia, the story comes out. What? There were 370,000 ballots that just sort of managed to appear that were counted that no longer can be found? They've evaporated? Like what? Bleach bit? I don't know what you're talking about. And you're supposed to just forget about it and move along. Well, that's the beauty of the Wayback Machine. We call these flashbacks. But I'm going to give you the Gateway Pundit headline so we can tee this bad boy up before we swing. Headline: disgraced ex-CNN anchor Chris Cuomo now admits to taking ivermectin daily. And he refuses, of course, to apologize for shaming people who did not take the experimental shot. Now, I enjoy poking at this guy because I think he's a complete jackass. I do. I take great umbrage with people whose egos supersede their dedication to their profession. And in journalism, the profession is telling the truth. Facts. That's it. That's what you do. So I admit I'm biased as nuts about this turkey. But I think if we go up to 30,000 feet and we identify the trends beyond the headlines, all this stuff is coming out. They've had to admit it wasn't in a freaking market. It wasn't some bat. It wasn't in some soup. It wasn't some mystery. We have the money. We have the emails. We have the proof. It shouldn't take 4 freaking years for the news to come out, for the truth to come out. But out it's coming. All of a sudden now we're hearing about, oh, there is an uptick in young men, boys and young men with myocarditis. I live with a doctor. His specialty's the heart. I can tell you, he has not seen the cases of inflammation around the heart the way he has since that vaccine was rolled out. Finally, we're talking about it. But I look at this story differently. Because we had people like Pierre Corey on this program, a pulmonologist, who noticed early on with the forced ventilation of people in hospitals that they were being killed by the process, and that there was something that was readily available that cost pennies, that was safe and effective for people of all cohorts, sick, old, young, pregnant, immunocompromised, and it was effective. And they had to shut it down in order for the emergency use authorization, which allowed the mass production of a gene-scrambling mRNA elixir to get pushed on the American people. And ivermectin would have foiled that plan. Now, all of a sudden, we hear Chris Cuomo has been vaccine injured. Really? Isn't that so interesting? In a recent episode of the PBD podcast, this is hosted by Patrick Bet-David, along with co-hosts Adam Sosnick and others, former CNN anchor Chris Cuomo made admissions about his health regimen and his stance on the COVID-19 vaccines. First of all, I don't give a fat you-know-what Chris Cuomo thinks about anything. If he thinks something, I'm going to think the opposite. Because this is the same turd who was bouncing in the lines. He jumped the freaking lines not only to get tested for COVID, but to get vaccinated for it. Hey, when you're the governor's brother, I guess it comes with perks. So all of a sudden now that the news is trickling out, what? Some people, some places have suffered some injuries from something? Now here's Chris Cuomo saying, I've been hurt. And because of that, I take ivermectin every day. I think you should too. Wait a minute. Don't we remember back in 2020 with Don Leming? I do. Let's listen to this when they mocked people for taking horse paste. Gad.
People who are injecting drugs for animals and horse.
And people telling them to. Oh, my God. What person? You talk about cancel culture and who to shame. Ivermectin, a dewormer. Really?
They are shaming themselves. No one has to shame them. They're shaming themselves.
No, they need to be shamed.
Yeah.
They need to be called out and shamed, brother.
Called out and shamed, brother. You're black, I'm white. I got to play the part. Yeah, let's go, yo. I love how he gets so street. Don Leming is as non-street as a black gay guy can be, okay? So you can leave that at home, Chris. Shaming the anti-vax crowd and shaming those who would think about taking something as ivermectin. I don't ever remember hearing people injecting it. That's called fake news. Isn't it so gross? So gross. But it got worse. Because here we go. The biggest threat to America. This is when he got on his grandstanding. This is what happens when ego and ignorance, or a lack of intellectual curiosity, a lack of asking questions, a lack of doing your own due diligence, a lack of being a freaking journalist, for God's sake, comes back to bite you in the ass. Audio soundbite number 2.
Think about this. In a world of threats and tyrants and terror, you know what our biggest enemy is in America? Our fellow Americans. The pandemic is dispositive proof of that. The number of new COVID cases going down. Deaths. Did you know that deaths this year already surpassed 2020's? 352,000. Now we're higher than that. And we have vaccines. How can we be dying more after we have what keeps you from dying?
These are the people whose job is to be critical thinkers, who are not to be swayed and give you one-sided testimony of a porn star. These are the people who are supposed to fact find. These are the people who lie to you every single day. And this might be my favorite Chris Cuomo flashback from 2020. 2021, in fact. I'm betting he's going to want a redo on this. Listen.
We have what can save us, but far too many are still in the anti-vax camp, digesting misinformation, literally making themselves sick.
How's that working for you, brother? How's that feeling? Because we know you're apparently vaccine injured. What is the extent of your injury? I remember when Chris Cuomo ranked all over Byron Donalds, the congressman from Florida, for coming out and saying, you know what, it's kind of my body, my choice. I don't feel like I'm going to do this. I've had COVID. I have natural immunity. What you're telling me to do is antithetical to basic elements of science. And the more you browbeat me and try to demonize me, the more suspicious I am of you because I already think you suck. He said this, everybody should know that about you, Byron Donalds. You're not telling people to get vaccinated. You're not pushing it. You're not saying it's the right choice. You're saying you're not doing it. And you're leaving out of the equation that you can make other people sick, as if that doesn't matter, okay? It's a difficult thing to not forget. Because often if you are one of those people who has a difficult time forgetting, it likely means you're not easily swayed into the camp of forgiving either. There is no forgiving. There is no redo on this. These people, for years, have lied again and again and again. They've gotten their Democrat Dreamscape marching orders from whomever the puppeteer is. Whether it's George Soros, who's buying up all these AM radio stations to silence the voices of people like me who don't lie to you. Or it's Barack Obama or Klaus Schwab or anybody else. The Rockefellers. I don't want anybody to be vaccine injured. And I don't believe Chris Cuomo is. I think he is a small person looking for a big payoff to manage his monster ego. I understand how my husband feels about medicine, because I feel that same way about the media. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, these pro-Hamas campus agitators. If I told you that they were training professionally in Cuba with communists, would you be like, come on, that's so stupid? Or would you say, well, that makes sense? The answer next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. What? I am so glad, Brock, that we didn't take the job from News Nation, because I'd be working along with that, you know what, and I would have a very difficult time.
That was the time slot.
Yes. Should I reach out to him and be like, hey, dipstick, before they offered you the job, they offered it to me, and I said no. Seems kind of juvenile, but it would feel good in a moment. Ramona Quimby would do it. Sorry. I can't believe you read those books.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Hey, guys, how about we talk about Morgain's Fitness? MORGAINZ fitness.com. She usually sends pictures and stuff with Transformation Tuesdays. I have to check my email. She probably did, and I didn't catch it. But it's amazing when you see the before and after photos of people who, for 90 days, work with Kelly Morgan. Not every single day. You're not going into the gym every day. You're not doing this at home remotely every day if you don't live in the area. But you get, like Brock has gotten with bodybyAIM360.com, you learn the tools. You understand what you need to do. You understand how to work out, how to lift weights, how to get your core strength back. How to develop abs again. If you've ever had them, it's nice to get them back, right? This is what Morgain's Fitness is all about. 90-day Ignite. And the people who lose pounds, I just sounded like Joe Biden, pounds
inches
of fat, and who lose inches and gain muscle, the before and after, especially on women and men. This is a troubling area right here, right there. You put on a bra and it goes, right? Squeezes all that. Before and after of 90 Day Ignite. Holy cow. Just saying. If you've been trying to lose it, she's your girl. 412. No, actually, no phone number. Morgane's Fit. She has 4 different locations, so I don't just give you one. I give you the main thing, and then you can choose the location nearest you. Morgane's Fitness. MORGAINZ fitness.com.
She could probably make you strong enough to hit that rumble button.
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah.
It's so disappointing. Gangbusters, and then you guys just sort of divorce me. It's kind of sad.
You lost that love and feeling, I guess.
Did. I love love. Won't you share the love? Darius, do something.
What?
Right? Darius can help, don't you think? No. I'll never leave you, Wendy. Darius, why would you want to?
Starting to question Darius.
I'm here every day to provide.
Except last Friday and last Monday.
Love, honesty, and facts. Look at $5 from Charles Beck.
Charles.
I need to gain weight. Oh, Charles.
Yeah. I got some you can have. How about that? Free charge.
Everybody's got a thing, though, so I get it.
Can we get the 3 by
10 or 11?
11.
Come on, people. We also need people to hit that Rumble or the join button. 2.82. 180 people. You can do it. We have 13.9 watching. You guys are awesome. If you're new, all you have to do is find that little thumbs up underneath Brock's hand. That's it. And then while you're clicking that, mosey on over to the join button and give that a click. And then you can help us get to that point. Thanks, Darius.
Oh, boy.
You know, it just seems so damn convenient, didn't it? I'm doing this on my Newsmax show this week, too. If you're not aware, we had to do a Newsmax show on the weekends called Common Sense. I love when they asked me, too. They're like, so what do you want your show to be called? And I was like, I'm out of the gates. I'm like, Common Sense. And they're like, come again? And I was like, right? We need it. And I'm talking specifically about how obvious the made to order demonstrations, protests, the chants, the signs, the neck scarf, all of the whole thing, right? From, the river to the sea, all of the same demands, whatever. And we were like, wow, this is all so very convenient and well orchestrated, choreographed almost, like High School Musical Part 77, right? Just with worse actors. Well, how about this headline from Breitbart? Bing, 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 bing. When you get that weird, that feeling inside your belly and you're like, something feels weird here. What is it? Go with it because it's usually right. Pro-Hamas campus agitators trained with communists in Cuba. Don't you wish you could take some of these young people and just slap them and just be like, look, I know that you're bleeding heart right now because that's the way it goes when you're young. If you're not, you have no heart. And then you grow up and you pay bills and you have a family and you realize FICA is real and your check is small and you vote conservative because you have a brain, right? Training with communists in Cuba. Who wouldn't want to go? I hear it's beautiful this time of year. Some of the activists in protests backing the goals of the jihadist group Hamas on American college campuses received some support and training in Cuba. ADN America is reporting this. They say a guy, I guess, ADN America has named Manolo de los Santos, a far-left activist believed to have incited the storming of Columbia University's Hamilton Hall a couple weeks ago, as having deep ties to the Castro regime. Oh, goody. It's not good enough that we have MS-13 gang members. Vermin. That would be the vermin Donald Trump has referred to. Vermin. people who have no value in human life, people who traffic in selling children for sex, who traffic organs, because that's not disgusting. Vermin. This guy, Manolo de los Santos, affiliated with the Castro regime and its figurehead president, with a long track record of political activities in Cuba spanning multiple years. Come on over. Come on over. Come over illegally, because if you're going to come to New York, you're going to get a prepaid debit card. We're going to put you up in a nice place, nice 5-star hotel that we've co-opted from the traveling public, and to totally destroy New York City's economy, which is why so many big companies are moving out and the whole city's getting flushed down the toilet. Right. Come on over and train our people on how to be malignant, anti-American suckwads. All right? De Los Santos, the executive director of the People's Forum, a far-left organization that is highly sympathetic to the Cuban and Chinese Communist parties, and which describes itself as a, quote, incubator of movements for the working class and marginalized communities. That's code for we suck. AD in America noted that its report coincides with a report that the New York Post published on Sunday that said the People's Forum has been urging anti-Israel protesters at campuses to, quote, rekindle the bloody Black Lives Matter riots of summer of 2020. See, these people are in bed with the Democratic Party. Democrat, progressive, Marxist, socialist, communists. These people are all doing the same thing. They might look a little different. They might have a few different costumes. They might oscillate in different circles, but they're all the same. They hate America. They wish to destroy all of it. So apparently the People's Forum is one of several far-left organizations at the forefront of the wave of anti-Israel protests that erupted following Hamas's October 7th attack and massacre of 1,200 people. Hundreds taken hostage. Don't talk about them anymore. Well, good luck. Hope it all works out for you over there. Right? Apparently, the People's Forum organized a protest in Times Square, New York, one day after the October 7th attack, where attendees celebrated Hamas's actions while waving signs that contained anti-Semitic slogans and imagery. This is where your crowds on demand come in handy. I need about 500 mangy, angry leftists who don't shave their legs, right? I think that's what we need to do. Crowdsondemand.com. Boop, 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 and return. How else do you think we got such quick response to the Dobbs decision on the steps of the Supreme Court? Are people driving around various zip codes like Uber drivers, waiting for an alert on their phones with a whole kit in their trunk of various things that they could protest? Abortion, women's rights, racism, genocide, Palestine, whatever. Of course, they're being trained by people involved with communism. That's what our government is. It's already been infiltrated. These college campuses are just like wetting your whistle. It's just the beginning of it. Just the epicenter of it right now. When we come back, protecting our children should be our top priority. I get it. I'm a mom. It's what I feel. But let's talk about the Boy Scouts. This isn't a woke name change after so many years. It's purposeful. It's to avoid bankruptcy. I've got the story for you next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. They went to Cuba. Let's train in Cuba. How else can we get our finest strategies for you? I hate people.
No.
Is that wrong to say?
No. Well, it depends who you're talking about.
Did we make it?
I don't believe so.
Come on, people.
295.
What do you guys say? We have 18-7 watching.
13-7.
13-7. Sorry. Wow. See, that's why you have a partner. Because they keep it honest. tell you when you're wrong. And then
You're wrong.
and then sigh obnoxiously at you. You know what? I'm going to put this on the underside of my foot because it really hurts. And I'm going to report back in 15 minutes. And if
The underside of your what?
At the underside.
Oh, the other side.
Like under my foot. Right there.
Two more people. We have to be near. I'm gonna check.
Let's see. Hold on.
We have to be near 40,000 followers.
Do you think? Have you gotten a lot of activity?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Let me see.
Oh my God.
39,989. So we need 11.
I would love that. That would be a great milestone today. Don't you guys think? Who hasn't hit the join button? Doesn't cost you anything.
No, that'd be the follow button.
The follow button. Sorry. We're cheap and easy.
Speak for yourself.
I'm cheap and easy.
No. Nuh-uh. Go to bar tab to prove it.
Oh my God. You know, it's interesting, and I've said this, and it's interesting that this would be the promo that Field of Greens is suggesting that its influencers, including myself, would present to you. Because I thought about it after getting an email from a man whose wife was going through cancer treatment during COVID. And she lost her hair and had struggled for a while with the chemo, which I've watched two of my loved ones go through, and it's just devastating. And she started drinking Field of Greens. He bought her Field of Greens. And so when her hair started to grow back, he was like, I just have to tell you that her hair has grown back thicker. It is shiny. It is healthy. Her skin looks beautiful. She looks fresh and awake and alive and healthy. And I was like, get out. Well, and now Field of Greens is saying this. If you've heard of cancer-fighting foods, it makes sense because the American Cancer Society has discovered that diets rich in fruits and vegetables may actually lower your risk of developing cancer. And Field of Greens is a natural conduit to get these fruits and vegetables that the majority of us don't have time to cook and eat. I mean, it's a ton into our systems every single day. And it's by taking a scoop of Field of Greens and shaking it up in a glass of water and drinking it down. Each fruit and vegetable in Field of Greens was doctor selected for studied health benefits. There's a heart health group. There's a lung group, kidneys, and certain fruits and vegetables, all organic, by the way, whole fruit organics that go to your metabolism, that help with healthy weight. So what your body needs is in each scoop of this delicious Field of Greens. So I'm not going to tell you you're going to prevent, cure, or treat cancer because that's not what it does. But the benefits, people say, are there. And I can't deny that. I see the effects all the time. I mean, right? Fieldofgreens.com. Promo code Wendy. Fieldofgreens.com. Promo code Wendy. You're going to get a great discount. How about 15% off free rush shipping? Fieldofgreens.com.
We are now two followers
people
away.
You could be you.
It can't be me.
Not you. I'm talking to everybody else. Wiener.
You just call me a wiener?
I did. It felt right.
I've been called worse.
By me.
Wow.
Wow. Uh-huh. Right? How you doing? Does anybody else want to talk to me out there? Let's see. Who's talking about beef? Salty, why are you talking about beef?
It's less taxes. Don't put links that we don't, because people think we have something to do with it, and I'll get tons of emails.
You know what we need to do? We need to get Oscar on next week. I wonder how he's been. I wonder what he's been up to. We have a Mexican correspondent in Tijuana, Oscar Blue. He's phenomenal. He's been into the Darien Gap multiple times. He's traveled with the caravans. And he's seen some horrible things. Did we do it?
40,001.
That's awesome, you guys. How's Phil from Lahaina? Well,
funny you ask.
It's coming on tomorrow at 10:30. And then we're going to have the lovely and talented John Guandolo. And this jihad stuff, this communism, the idea of communism and jihadis in our government and what's going on, it couldn't be more appropriate for us to have John Guandolo on. Toriak, I don't think Oscar Mayer a wiener. He's just a wiener. What? It's hard to come up with clean words that are descriptive but derogative. Buster.
You could just be nice.
Buster. Mister. That's a good one. Buddy.
Be
I couldn't.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America, one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
Who can take your money? Who can take your money? With a twinkle in their eye. A twinkle in their eye. Take it all away and give it to some other guy. The government. The government can. And the government can, because they mix it up with lies and make it all taste good. Government takes everything we make to pay for all of their solutions, like healthcare, climate change, pollution. Just throw away the Constitution. I wrote that, thank you. Who can give a bailout? Tell us to behave. And make the founding fathers roll over in their grave. I don't care if you hate me, I'm going to sing it anyway. Oh, the government can.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Welcome aboard. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hey, hour 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is official. If you missed any of the program, go back to our podcast, Wendy Bell Radio. Love to have you along as we go closer to 3 million podcast downloads every single one. I mean, geez, in just a year and a half or so. I want to talk to you about this because it's obviously something that matters to me as a mom, but I think it matters to us as decent, loving human beings. And I'm just going to say that no matter how dark things get, no matter how much anger I have for the reality that I see and that we have seen and that we've spoken about, I got to believe that inherently among most of us, good people who would look out for you, people who would look out for after your children. If you weren't around, if I wasn't around, I would hope to God that there would be a grown-up, somebody out there in a moment of need who would be able to help my kids if they got into a jam. But what we have going on is far darker in many industries. Pedophilia. And it's one of those subjects that's really complicated to talk about. Because if that's something that's so off the rocker in your mind to you that you would never even consider looking at a child in any other way than as a protector, right? It's hard to wrap your mind around how long so many businesses have been awash with predators. Look, it's not just the Catholic Church. Catholic Church is a huge problem. It would be delightful for the Catholic Church to have an honest conversation and say, you know what, maybe the celibacy thing, I don't know, maybe it's not working. Maybe we need to tweak the rules a little bit. Maybe we need to examine whether specific kinds of men are joining the priesthood. And if we opened it up to women, or at least made them deacons or other positions of some kind of clerical power within the church, would that counteract the amount of deviant behavior that happens that puts children in the crosshairs as victims? Now, of course, that involves a candid conversation. That involves admitting we've got an issue. That involves admitting that human beings can do terrible things. Then we would also be forced to look at education. We'd also have to get into the deep dive into social work. We'd also have to talk about why is it that Disney has had so many problems with predators there too? Well, because you're around where the kids are. Predators want to be where the prey are. And that's gross. And I'm sorry, but it's true. Boy Scouts yesterday, we talked about this name change. For a lot of people, the Boy Scouts has been a formative man-making experience where boys were allowed to go out, experience nature, learn survival, and more importantly, become givers. Do a project, become a Cub Scout, Eagle Scout, I should say, and go out with the project and do something significant to leave your community better than you found it. And the projects, if you've lived with a Cub Scout or a Boy Scout, an Eagle Scout, I should say, are phenomenal. There is benefit to that, but I have to ask, when I hear these numbers, 83,000 pending legal cases against the Boy Scouts of America for alleged sexual misconduct. Is the organization salvageable? Is changing its name under the guise of being woke and saying, we're going to take out the boy from Boy Scouts and we're going to make it Scouting America? Not now, but in February of 2025. That's when it's going to happen. Not now, later, which is weird. Why then? Got to ask yourself, is it going to really erase anything? Well, I want to read this to you. This is from Blaze Media. Boy Scouts go woke to cover up 83,000 sexual misconduct lawsuits. I don't know. Do you think it maybe after 100 COVID jab deaths, we should have tapped the brakes, slammed on the brakes and said, stop, no more? Do you think after maybe the first 100 sexual abuse allegations, the Boy Scouts needed to be examined? Seriously examined. Because this is failure. It is failure of America's adults to protect our most precious people, the children. The Boy Scouts of America is no longer the image of Americana innocence, and it now seems that it never actually was in the first place. The organization has announced that it is now changing its name to Scouting America in order to promote inclusivity and explore diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. What's that for? Is that so if you're a girl but you want to be a boy, you can join? Because you know there's so many transgender kids out there who are just dying to be a part of the Boy Scouts. What is it? Can I remind America that this is an organization that has 83,000 lawsuits against them for sexual misconduct on young boys? Jacko Buins asks. This guy apparently is an attorney who has been digging into this. We're just going to change the name and welcome more dysfunction because we're welcoming more dysfunction. It is a cycle of suck. And unless you get to the root causes, like Kamala Harris has been so busy doing about mass migration, putting a new title on something doesn't change its deviance. And it sullies the good experience that I'm sure thousands and thousands of young boys who were not victims or preyed upon had. So if you're thinking of your son being in the Boy Scouts, it hasn't existed for a long time. Just pull them out. Pull them out of the public school, pull them out of the Boy Scouts. Well, apparently the organization, Boy Scouts, has also apparently sought bankruptcy protection because of all of the lawsuits against it. And it has a reorganization plan that's allowed it to continue its programs while compensating all of the victims. Now, there are some very successful billionaire Boy Scouts out there. And because of their generosity and their donations, I guess the Boy Scouts has been, able to pay the bills. $83,000. It should be called Pedophiles Scouting America. Now, when we were growing up, the Boy Scouts was there to prepare you to be a man. But what it seems like it's done is attract a lot of men to spend time personally with young boys and to do God knows what with them. Now, I was interested in this, and I was like, well, the Blaze Media is reporting this. Is this corroboratable? Is that a word? Did I just make up corroboratable? I think that's right. How about this from SpotlightPA.com, my hometown here. Pennsylvania PA Post says this: at least 1,793 claims of sexual abuse have been made against the Boy Scouts councils in Pennsylvania amid a national reckoning and what is shaping up to be the largest single child sex abuse case in U.S. history. The claims against the Scouts span decades and were made public through a bankruptcy process initiated by the national organization last year, with more than 83,000 abuse claims tallied nationwide. Look, for every woman who has stepped forward and said she has been a victim of sexual assault, there must be 5 in the shadows who never did get asked or are too afraid to speak up. If there are 83,000 lawsuits right now against the Boy Scouts, against Scouting America, you know you can multiply that number by God knows how much. Pennsylvania claims have been made in every corner of the state: Erie, Chambersburg, Wilkes-Barre, Pittsburgh, McKean, Potter counties, and beyond. Often those brought of Scout leaders. They were kept from authorities. Look, change a name. Fantastic. Don't pretend what you're doing. Trying to remain solvent during bankruptcy. Do we want our kids involved in this? Is it worth the risk? I say no. When we're back on the Wendy Bell Radio program, let's talk about carving religion out of life. See, if you're going to prey on kids, you certainly can't have God lurking around. What's going down in an elementary school? Oh my heavens. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I will absolutely tell you that painkiller works.
About what?
The pain thing works. Huh. I'm going to have to do a little investigating.
I might need it then.
All right. What have I forgotten to do? I think I've done a great job being fabulous. I know that's kind of lame, isn't it? Yes. I did it. And we got that. We got that. We got that. And that. And that. Look, my nephew was an Eagle Scout. And what did he do? I think he poured new steps and created like a handicap accessible ramp at a place in his community that's significant, and the steps were crumbling. There's so many great Eagle Scout projects. And you would hate to lump everybody together, but it's like, until you can eradicate the virus, which is called sexual deviance. And how do you do that? It's been with us since the beginning of time, as disgusting as that is to say. Like, what's the fix? The fix isn't changing your name. Right? But the woke idea, wow, that's a great reason to wrap it up in something, isn't it? Oh, we're just trying to be more inclusive. No, we actually have a real reason for doing this. Hopefully it protects us from utter bankruptcy and decimation. I don't know. It's so sad, you guys. It's so unnecessary. It's so gross. Let's see, what do we have? 3.19. I'm going that 3.5 is going to be a stretch. What do you guys think?
All I know is I'm being real careful with the door now.
I personally thought it was hilarious. So
I know you laughed for about 5 minutes.
I did not laugh for 5 minutes. That's fake news. I wouldn't have laughed for 5 minutes.
No. Okay, maybe not 5 minutes, but you laughed. And then you said, oh my God, did that really happen? You laughed a little more. And then you're like, are you okay?
See?
And I'm like, I'm fine. You're like, can you imagine if there was blood? That would have been hilarious. I'm like, yeah. And then you laughed a little more. So maybe not a 5 minutes straight, but
don't give me fake news, because that's not true. I wasn't delighting in your misery. I just thought it was funny because you came in holding your nose.
Walked right into the door.
I had said, and then look, I had said that I walked into a wall and you were radio silent. You could have jumped in and been like, I walked into a door, and you didn't. You let me suffer.
When did you walk into a wall?
I just said that out here. Wow, way to pay attention to me.
Today you did?
Yeah.
I was probably concussed from walking into the door and don't remember. There was no medical attention. Like the Princeton people, I got no help from management.
It is a great
update
to the sniveling hunger strikers. Starve. Go ahead. A country that allows deviant men to prey on children, women for that matter too. I just read a disgusting article about a 24-year-old teacher who was trying to have sex with an 11-year-old boy. I don't get that. I don't think that's physically possible. It's so gross. I struggle with this stuff every single day. That doesn't mean we shouldn't talk about it. Okay? Because if you're going to allow people who are predators to get anywhere near children, part of the equation must be then to also carve God out of every element of our lives. This has been going on for decades. This is part of the communist agenda. We know this for a fact. It was read into the congressional record. The 45 goals of communism. You got to carve God out of life. Because with no faith, all forms of debauchery can settle in and be excused. Faith brings people who are wayward back to the horizon. It just does. Listen to this headline, Breitbart. Atheist group forces Florida elementary school to disband its Fellowship of Christian Athletes Club. What? Yeah. The after-school Satan Club can still meet, right? The transgender students can still play on the teams with the girls, but the Christians, blasphemy, get them out of here. The Seoul Elementary School in a rural Florida county, see, nobody is immune to this, has disbanded its Fellowship of Christian Athletes Club because an atheist group complained that it was, quote, unconstitutional to, quote, indoctrinate kids into religion. Now, look, I don't think anybody there is like got a gun to their head saying, look, put your hand on the Bible. Swear an oath to God, to Jesus. This is crazy. Hamilton County Elementary School, located in the small town of Jasper, was stiff-armed into shutting down its chapter of the North Central Florida Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I didn't know that such a thing existed. After the Wisconsin-based Freedom from Religion Foundation accused the school of violating the First Amendment in March. So wait a minute. This is something that's going on in rural Florida that some jackwagons in Wisconsin, atheist group in Wisconsin, bunch of political activist schmucks are meddling in. Students have the First Amendment right to be free from religious indoctrination in their public schools, wrote this organization's legal fellow in a letter addressed to Hamilton County School District Superintendent Dorothy Lee Wetherington Zamora. You know, can we talk about hyphenated names for a minute? So stupid. The atheist group argued that the Equal Access Act protects students' right to form religious clubs in secondary schools, not elementary schools. Quote, elementary students are too young to truly run a club entirely on their own initiative, with no input from school staff or outside adults, they said. Well, Brock, what's been going on in those transition closets? What's been happening?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense because I don't think a 5-year-old
knows their
can
gender?
identify gender and sexuality.
Oh, that's right. These are the same people who talk out of both sides of their mouths. Oh, these people, they can't make up their own minds. They're far too young. But she knows that she's always wanted to be a boy. Therefore, quickly, let's get some hormones over to that person. Let's get some surgery planned.
And make sure you don't tell their parents.
Shh. Gavin Newsom says, come to California. We'll keep it on the DL. We'll chop you up. No problem. Sanctuary. And he claims that the Hamilton Elementary After School Christian Club is a student-led club, are at best naive and at worst dishonest. The people from the atheists say young children cannot practically initiate, organize, and run a club on their own, meaning adults are the ones truly behind the club. Well, I found it was very interesting that there are elementary schools and middle schools across the country that are offering without parental okay LGBTQIA plus clubs. They don't send the flyers home. You know, at our elementary school, we would get flyers all the time in the kids' backpacks. Hey, the tennis team is starting. Do you guys want to take tennis lessons? Hey, we're going to do some such and such. Hey, flag football. Join the chess club. Whatever it was. Does your child want to be in the science fair? Join our science. All this stuff went home. And the parents would have to say, yes, I'm down with this. I understand it happens at lunch or this is an after school thing. I will arrange transportation for my child. But instead, these things don't get sent home to parents. And the schools meet during lunch, these LGBTQIA plus clubs. But if you want to have a Christian club, if you want to have one that's based on faith and the belief in Jesus Christ and the Holy Trinity, and the body and blood, that's off limits. It's preposterous. All these things at 30,000 feet. When you're in the trenches, it makes your hands shake. You want to punch somebody, throw them down the stairs. I'm with you. 30,000 feet, very interesting to see. The communists, right? The jihadis try to take over our culture and our country. When we come back, my friends, let's see, on the Wendy Bell radio program, the comedic gift of a lifetime. Oh my gosh. Princeton's hunger strike. It's gold. Next. Totally ridiculous. No God. But my golly, you want to walk around and you want to go to school as Jane and walk around all day as Johnny? Go ahead and change in the bathroom. We're not supposed to be able to tell your parents about that. Did you know, Brock, I found out about that? At our little Catholic school, one of the former teachers told me that the teachers were prohibited from telling the parents if their children came to school dressed in their school uniforms and decided to bounce it and put on a boy's or the opposing gender and walk around as a different gender at school behind their parents' backs. And they were prevented.
This was a Catholic school.
Yeah.
That shows you how
inept the Catholic Church is?
Adam and Eve.
Hey, man, if it wasn't for the snake in the apple, you and I aren't sitting here. I know. It's preposterous.
It's absurd.
Yes. Wow.
It's one thing after another with the Catholic Church. If you have not seen the movie Spotlight, you need to see the movie Spotlight. Take away the liberal actors in it that are toxic. The story is... It's about the taking down of Cardinal Law. Was it Cardinal Law in Boston?
Yeah. Bernard.
I
think that was his name. How many others?
How many don't we know about?
Oh,
and
my
how they
God.
moved them and yeah. I used to work on a show that was hosted by a priest, and we had all kind of problems in Pittsburgh. And I specifically said I will not do that anymore at all, ever. And I was told, you'll do whatever we tell you to do. I was like, fine. First time, I'm sick. I saved sick days because I used to take mental health days from that place. Save sick days. No, hello? Yeah? No. Negative Ghost Rider. The church is effed up.
867. We're kind of dropping on X. But hey, we used to get like 12. So something pretty awesome happened there. I'm not going to complain. How are we doing? Are we getting any closer to 3.5? Negative. Okay. Some days you got it. Some days you don't.
Well,
sometimes
you could
feel
maybe
like a
make
nut.
it up here.
Sometimes you don't.
Yeah. You're either an Almond Joy or a Mounds.
I'm an Almond Joy. 100%,
I'm a Mounds.
100%.
If it's got nuts, it's an Almond Joy. If it doesn't, it's a Mounds. So pick your candy.
I could eat either. That would be an Almond Joy. No. Mounds had dark chocolate.
It did.
That was...
But it was all about the nuts or not.
How you do.
That's how you tell the difference. Much like in people. You either have coconuts or you got nuts.
Oh.
Just saying.
This story it's so amusing to me. And it's funny to try to search for a legitimate news write-up about it, because legitimizing a hunger strike with a bunch of sniveling activists is really hard.
Wait till you hear what they say about being on a hunger strike. I mean, it's so ridiculous.
Literally, my lower abdominal muscles are sore because I was laughing out loud in the dark this morning.
It was, when you hear it, you're just like,
oh, it's so fantastic.
Like, did you not read the manual of what a hunger strike is?
It's called not eating and hungry and being hungry.
You're having hunger pains?
You know?
Who would have thunk it?
Yeah.
Us here are having hunger pains in that. They're stupid.
Yesterday was so fantastic.
If I got accepted into Princeton now, I'd be like, apparently my English isn't bad enough
as a second language.
Yeah. I'm not dumb enough to come to your school. How about that?
I went back and I watched that last night, you saying that, and Joe was in the room and he laughed out loud. He's like, that was fantastic.
That's because I'm funny.
That's exactly what he was thinking.
Maybe you can win some people back here at 11:35.
Oh. Brock thinks that during Toto, which is typical here, I have to lure you into my lair of love by singing to you. So you guys tell me if it works. Brock is heaving into his mouth right now because he thinks that sounds disgusting. Whatever. Wow. Whatever. Murphy likes it. That's all I can say.
I stopped an old man along the way, hoping to find some old forgotten words or ancient melodies. He turned to me as if to say, hurry boy, it's waiting there for you. Gotta take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. I guess the rain's down in Africa. Gonna take some time to do the things we never had.
Now, I freely admit to you, I am no rocket scientist, ladies and gentlemen. I know. It's hard to imagine, but it's true. I'm just going to say, my rudimentary knowledge of health and wellness tells me that people who go on hunger strikes end up feeling hungry. I mean, I know this is how you guys feel too. It's kind of baffling how these kids at Princeton University who've decided to stop eating, allegedly, are now bemoaning the fact that nobody cares about them. There's nobody here who's monitoring my vital conditions, and my heartbeat feels thready, weak. My pulse is desperate. I'm gasping for air. Help me. Oh, please, sit down. Go away. Shave your legs. Brush your teeth. Get a job. Right? That's all I want to say. Beat it. So you got Princeton University. Isn't this supposed to be like the creme de la creme? I go to Princeton. Oh. It's the nucleus of another section of suck in our country. People who believe that they need to starve themselves, which they will not. They will not. I should tell them that the average human can last at least 3 weeks without a morsel of food. They're only 5 days in. Like, I'm not getting any popcorn now and ready for this show for another 2 weeks, earliest. But at that point, I can tell you what's going to happen, right? This hunger strike. Princeton hunger strikers met with the university president. Here's what happened. This is from northjersey.com website. I can tell you what happened, though. They demanded. We demand to sit down with you. It was sort of like what the January 6th protesters were trying to do on that chilly day 3.5 years ago. They wanted to talk to their government. They demanded to be heard. Oh, well, these little brats wanted the same thing. And so apparently they did. To sit down with the president and demand, look, we've contributed nothing to you. We agitate. We smell bad. And we demand that you do this and that and all these other things in our Democrat dreamscape. I want you to hear the audio, though, because it's truly beautiful. After 4 days of a hunger strike by a group of students, Princeton University President Christopher Eisgruber met with pro-Palestine student organizers, Steinstein, this week, breaking a 2-week standoff between him and a larger collective of protesters amassed on a lawn a short distance from the campus entrance on Nassau Street. But the students say the meeting was unproductive, calling it, quote, these are always great lines, a scrap of air we refuse to accept. What? In a press release that criticized the university, Eisgruber and his handling of the protests. 2 students were arrested, 13 more faced trespassing charges, and the university said in a recent campus email that more students would face criminal charges. Eisgruber gave us nothing, the students wrote. They have committed to continuing protests over Israel's military action in Gaza, saying the university, quote, denied them the right to free expression by, quote, arresting and disciplining our friends. Oh, gosh. Can you imagine if you're sitting at home and the news pops on and this jackass with the bullhorn is your daughter? You're like, oh, my gosh, honey, get in here. Quick, we're moving. Eisgruber met Monday morning for about an hour with students and faculty members who are participating in the faculty members. You're fired. Fired. Can't do that, but I get it. University spokesperson Jennifer Murrill said in a statement, encampments to protest Israel's military campaign in Gaza have sprung up on campuses all across the U.S. for weeks now. And they're working with communists in Cuba to train. Isn't that? I mean, it's also inclusive and loving and kind, right? Key among those demands is that the universities divest from Israeli companies, meaning that they remove their endowments, any assets tied to Israel. Why? Because Israel fought back when 1,200 of its people were ambushed in a known and coordinated, scripted, pre-planned and executed ambush that massacred 1,200 of its people. And so they, with every right, fought back. And that's what these people are outraged about. Really? That. Well, I want you to hear the brain power of these young people who are protesting and starving. These are students. These are not just rando ne'er-do-wells who've been shipped in thanks to crowdsondemand.com. This is your student body at Princeton University. Number one, these are people with bullhorns and drums and the neck scarfy things saying that they're literally dying before your very eyes. Nobody cares. Listen.
This is absolutely unfair. My peers and I, we are starving. We are physically exhausted. I am quite literally shaking right now, as you can see. We are both cold and hot at the same time. We are all immunocompromised. And based on the university's meeting yesterday with some of our bargaining team, they would love to continue physically weakening us because they can't stand to say no to unjust murder.
You know, we are hot and cold at the same time. I'm like, look, menopause has come early for you, sister. Oh, we're all immunocompromised. I'm shaking. I don't know what to do.
I think it's funny when she said she was shaking, she started moving her hand back and forth, and then she went back to reading her script, and she wasn't shaking anymore.
We're all immunocompromised. Well,
I think we should Uber eat them some ribs.
You know what? How about something? Now, the gal with the bullhorn, she could starve for a few more days. I'm just going to say.
Yeah, like me, she could live off the fat of the land.
I'm just going to say, most people could live 3 weeks. She's maybe got 6. I'm just going to go there. It's okay. That's called fat shaming. No, that's called telling the truth. How about a sit-up and a salad? And then she goes on. You know, people who like to tell everybody else it's their birthday. You might be that person. I hate those people. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say, never been a big, hey, it's my birthday. Everybody, it's my birthday. My birthday. Some people are like that. Even a starving hunger striker who's immune compromised, who's literally shaking right now, who's hot and cold at the same time. She wants you to know it's her birthday. Go.
I will say I truly do not feel like I'm doing anything special. This is my choice. And I would not spend my birthday doing anything other than being here and standing in solidarity with you all and standing in solidarity with our siblings and innocent people in Gaza.
We should send her a gluten-free vegan birthday cake.
Some rice cakes. I want to take the guy with the drum and punch him.
Yay! Why do they think saying shame
on you people who have food? Shame. Oh, I'm sweating a little bit right now because this is too much.
Are you
fun.
hot and cold at the same time?
Hot and cold at the same time.
We need to get you a snack.
I might be immunocompromised. She's not done. Let's get the kick in the pants here for all of these folks. Look, she's going to tell you look, we're gonna keep starving because it's for the right cause. It's for our brethren, and we're gonna keep doing it. Listen.
No matter how physically weak we may be, united we have never been stronger. Our resolve has never been stronger. The people united will never be defeated.
I'm
The
surprised
people
they're strong enough to
united will
beat the drum.
He's like, ugh, ugh, ugh. It is, in a word, totally ridiculous and fantastic. These people who've chosen to be a part of something that has crossed so many lines, right? Who are desperate for the spotlight, desperate for a cause, desperate to fit in, desperate for a reason, who can't tell you where Palestine is on a map, let alone South Dakota, okay? Who go to Princeton University and believe that they have some almighty power, that they should be listened to, that any of us should give a rat's rear end about what they say. What we should be doing is paying close attention to who these morons are, who demand that we pay attention to their hunger shake and make sure they never get hired in companies that we own. That's the perfect retribution here. Princeton's protesting students and faculty members, however, have gone a step further in their demands. Yeah! The people united will never be defeated. I'm so weak. I don't know if I can make it. They're calling for they're demanding a cultural and academic boycott. What does that mean? No more Jews admitted? How are all those billionaire Jewish dollars going to go? Huh. It's going to be curious, isn't it? I'm going to tell you right now. I'm looking in my magic ball, my magic 8 ball. I'm looking at it deeply. I am. Magic 8 ball. What do you think the likelihood is that the next time we check in with these hunger striking, sniveling morons, that we see dire rescue attempts with medics and stretchers and people laying out lifeless? Oh, I say $100. I got $100 on it. It's going to happen because it's the next line of suck in this story. All right. The best story of the day, I've waited until the end to share with you. And it has everything to do with the most demonized group of people in this country. And you may very well be one of them. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
I really wish this was happening in Pittsburgh.
Oh my God. We would
because
go.
I would go
we would get
there
lawn chairs. Well, I'd bring chairs.
and I'd eat.
And we would eat. I would go. What would I get? I just made a bunch of chicken wings. We would just sit there and I would hand you a chicken wing.
I'd probably bring a grill.
Yeah.
And grill and eat. And like, I'll pay for the burgers and I'll just start passing them out to everyone.
Not you people.
Beer.
Yeah. Whatever you got.
I'll get a keg just to get the frat guys to come sit there and drink and eat in front of them.
Mm-hmm. Maybe spark one of your cigars.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah.
Course.
Yeah.
Course. I just think the list of their demands are so preposterous. It's like never talking to a Jew again, never doing no travel abroad in Israel, no allowing Israeli students to come to Princeton. They have no idea about what they speak. They have received the talking points. Somebody among their midst has been trained by a Cuban, communist. There's your local friendly neighborhood jihadi who's stirring the pot, breaking into the Hamilton building.
You know what the problem is why they're hungry? It's because they didn't think it through. Because all these schools have caved right away.
Yes.
They didn't think they were going to have to go 3-4 days without food. They figured this is going to be a day or two.
Slam dunk.
We're good.
Come on.
I mean, they should have packed on the poundage. They should have ate, instead of half a pound of Sprouts, They should have packed away 4 pounds of sprouts.
Yes.
So you could sustain a little longer.
Little leafy greens.
Yeah. Yeah. I would if this was happening in Pittsburgh, I would so go to that school and I'd hold up signs.
We would invite you guys with us. We'd be like, hey, let's do it. You guys wanted to get together and maybe rent like one of those spots at a park and grill and have fun and have a Wendy Bell Radio Army,
I'd get fans to blow the scent.
Summertime, yes.
Oh, yeah.
We would spend money on this.
We'd get hacky sacks.
I'd have it sponsored. I would have it sponsored.
I would have it sponsored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have friends in sign companies. We could make signs. We could be, ladies and gentlemen. God.
I would totally have it sponsored. I know people who would sponsor that.
Just
and
to be Jags.
I get like, hey, can we get a keg of beer?
Yeah, yeah.
You know who we call for that?
Oh, yeah.
Can I get a grill? You know who we call for that?
Yeah. Hey, Paul, can you donate some wings? Can you have Will and John at Stinky's in the kitchen? Can you have
We'll hang a sign
from Stinky's? Maybe give us a couple hundred wings.
If you're not on a hunger strike, go to Stinky's.
Fantastic. Freaking fantastic.
Oh man, that would be fantastic. Yes, that would. Yeah. Maybe fling some hot dogs at them.
That would be tempting, though. Make them those almost. What are the fake dogs called?
Beyond.
It's Beyond Burger, and then there's something else.
Oh.
It's a. Yeah, you're right though.
That's like a Beyond Burger is like a tranny. It's a fake burger. It's not real. It's a fake burger. That's why they are now not Beyond. They're tranny burgers. If you want a burger that's black bean, it's a tranny burger.
It's an imposter.
Yeah.
It looks like it's got the parts, but they don't really work the same way.
Yeah. They can dress it up with makeup or ketchup and onions, but no, it's still it's a tranny burger.
Oh my gosh, that's delightful. You make me laugh. That's funny. Rumble, rumble, rumble. I made you out of clay. Hurry, let's go. We got 170 to get. 170. There are so many times that I have to tell you, there's nothing more enjoyable than sitting here and giggling along with you. And it's nice that we can laugh when we see so much that is so wrong in our country. But some of these people are just so dumb. And it's brilliant. And they're oblivious. Oblivious. Now, part of rite of passage, part of growing up is looking back on the mistakes that you've made and kind of being like, Urgh. When I was home in California, my sister and I sat out on some lawn chairs and watched our 7 sons and our husbands play in the pool and joke around and be goofballs. And we looked through a photo album that my mom had that's just labeled 1983. And I'm 13 and she's 15. And you can imagine You can imagine the hairstyles. You can imagine the clothing. It was legendarily horrendous. You look back in the photo album of your life and you're like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. It's fun when you can do that with something as stupid as a hunger strike. Now, I want to talk about straight white men. How's that for a hard turn? Brock just gave me a double fist in the air. Look. I do not believe there has been a more demonized, kicked around, abused, ignored, vilified, mocked, or ridiculed subsection of our country than the straight, white man. I live with 6 of them. I freely admit to you, I am very particular. I love these men. Have you noticed that every commercial, if there is a straight white man, he is the goofball in the commercial? If there's a sitcom, the straight white guy, the neighbor, is just some lumbering oaf. Somebody everybody else makes fun of. In fact, the straight white men, we can say, have been the saviors historically of this country again and again and again. And they're being called on again. I read this in town hall. Derek Hunter is one of my favorite reporters, authors for them, columnists. And he writes very simply, thank God for straight white men. And it captured my attention. And I want you to hear this because it's true. That headline is highly unfashionable and will not get me any job offers to be president of any university, but it's true. Straight white men kick ass. It doesn't hurt that I'm one of them, and it's incomplete to think only people like me kick ass. We awesome people come in every flavor, but no group of people has been more demonized by the left than the people who, if we're being honest, have done more for our species than any other. It's probably a hate crime at any of those martyrs camps on campuses to point this out, just as it's probably a hate crime to point out just how much of the good things in life people enjoy. Technology, medicine, clothes, various delicious foods were the fruits of evil whitey's colonizations and work. True story if you look it up. That's the reason no one on the left, while screaming bloody murder about some Kardashian sister braiding their hair being cultural appropriator, never bothers to hate the colonizers who invented antibiotics or the awful privileged monsters who created the cell phones they're using to inform the world of just how oppressed they are as they wait in line at Starbucks to pay $10 for a cup of flavored warm coffee, or warm water, I should say. If you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Instead, these entitled mutants run around college campuses while personifying the best argument possible for abortion, as soon as ultrasound technology can be coupled with the ability to see what their baby will turn out to be. I know, that's a horrible joke, but that's only if you think it's a joke. These people are terrible. Anyone removing an American flag to fly that of a terrorist state is not worthy of American citizenship. If they were born that way, there isn't much that can be done. But if they weren't or aren't, measures should be taken to make it clear they are invited to leave. How many times have we said that? Get out of our country then. Our fences and walls are not meant to keep people in. They are meant to keep people out. Despite the way our mentally underdeveloped president sees it, go the F out. You will not be missed. This is the vitriol. This is where they've pushed us. At this point, I can't imagine how any of their parents would miss them. Thank God for straight white men. As these idiots parade around the country claiming to be victims, it was a bunch of fraternity brothers who rallied to protect the flag. First time was at UNC, then spread like wildfire. Now groups of normal people, men and women of all different configurations, are stepping up to tell these post-digestive food exit ports what they can do with their demands and their terrorist sympathies. For many, it's probably the first time they've ever heard anyone tell them no, or where it is that they can go, blow it out, and do so before dying. They call it bullying because they're weak, spoiled little brats. But the average 7-year-old would learn from it. And what they're doing isn't good and would investigate as to why. It's not going to be for them, but it will be for good, provided they're capable of learning the lessons from it. If they can't, screw them. I agree. The straight white man, demonized in everything, who's invented so much that allow these sniveling children to protest. Great to be with you. Hope you come back tomorrow. Bring a friend. Wendy Bell Radio. Find us, follow us. Until tomorrow. Peace.